Good morning. Happy Monday to you. All my fellow addicts. I am a recovery addict. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. Court is in session once again this week as we have some crazy stuff to follow. This is going to be a fun week. This is going to be a really fun week. As I get everything straight on my desk here so I can do what we need to do. Let's see. One thing we need to do is right here. We need to say good morning to Lindsay Hendricks and congratulations, Lindsay. Lindsay, by being first in chat, I think you know this. You have the dubious honor of winning all things IP related. So the internet, from right now on, until we give it away once again and regift it to someone else, is yours, and you are responsible for all things pertaining thereunto. So just be prepared. Keep your phone open. You'll probably be getting a few requests for help. People, problems with their internet router. Maybe their TV isn't working properly. That's all within your realm of expertise, I'm sure. If not, you'll figure it out on the go, on the job training. But thank you for being first in chat, for winning the internet, and letting everyone else come into chat without any risk of responsibility at all. So thank you very much. Good morning also to Lane, Bella, Tom. Bella says, I'm in Florida also. It's frigid Florida, according to Lane. What does frigid mean to you? I'm sitting right at, it was 28 degrees a few minutes ago. It's up, the sun is shining now. It's up to 30. Good morning, Toxic Orchid. Good to have you this morning. Katrina as well. Abby in the UK, good morning. How's your day going, Abby? Let us know how it goes, because you've had today before we got today, right? You're like 6 hours ahead of us. Good morning, MB, Golden Girl, Miss Chris, Ginger Meadows in the house, Pauline Phillips. Katrina has got treats for everybody to get us going this morning. Ann, Karen, Golden Mom's here. Annette, Mac, Tom, Tina, everyone going in to hit the thumbs up. Oh, nice. Thank you very much for doing that. Samantha, Laura, I have to give a shout out to somebody who's not on this list. And as I'm going through, it's wonderful to have all of you here. First of all, let me first thank you so much for being here. But I have to tell you that last night I was messing around with the burner phone, and I must have hit a button because I turned off the Do Not Disturb feature, which makes everything go to voicemail. And it must have been for a reason, because shortly after I was playing with that, and I didn't realize I had turned it off. Probably still off now. I might have to turn it back on. Got a phone call. And it rang through on the burner line. I saw it was coming through on the burner phone, and I said, "Hey, nothing's happened. Let me go ahead and answer that." And I picked it up and I said, "Hello," and they said, "Recovery addict." I'm like, "Yeah, this is me." It's like, "It's JB," and I said, "From Canada," and he said, "Yeah," and had a great talk with JB last night. So JB has been listening, as you all know. He is one of our favorite fans up from the frigid north. And when I said frigid north, he said it was negative 17. So I don't know yet what area in Canada he's from, but it's cold up there. And he told me all about how his son had helped him set up his TV. So now he gets a notification every time I go live, and he's able to follow along. We shared some of the live streams, some of his favorite moments from live streams, recent live streams that he just loved. He loved hearing the shout out in chat where people like Abby and others have reached out and said, make sure you shout out to JB. But it was awesome talking to him. He said his son is not only did he help him with the internet just a little bit to make it a little easier to find us. He also set up his ice fishing shack in the backyard with a propane heater. So when he goes outside to smoke in the negative 17 degree weather, he doesn't freeze to death. So it sounds like you got a great son. JB, it was great talking to you. I hope you enjoy the show today. I'm sure we'll be talking soon. And I know one day we're going to get you in chat. Your son's going to help you. We're going to figure this out. We'll get you in chat, and it's going to be a blast. See who else we've got. Patty, Ferry, Donna. Let's see, low 20s for Christmas. That's going to be cold. Michelle, good morning. Before we get started with court with Aaron Dean, who's got the sentencing today, we anticipate the jury is going to start deliberating right away on the sentence because they've heard all the evidence. But before we do that, I wanted to rewind because I told you I got this new toy. I should get an umbrella just to block the sun. It'll be gone in a few minutes, so I'll be all right. But I got this new toy on my desk, which is right here. It's got this little wheel on it, and I can spin it back and forth, and I can watch things. And I went to I uploaded the video from the police chase that we showed. I think it was last week, where the dog bites the wrong guy. All right, I went up there and watched that, and I plugged it in, and this lets me watch it in very slow motion, frame by frame, forward and backwards, and jump back and forth smoothly. And oh my goodness, I think the lawsuit is going to be hefty because what you can tell in slow motion is amazing. So we're going to see that before court starts. As I get a sunburn on part of my face this morning, the top half. Good morning from snowy Nova Scotia. Thank you for being here. Wonderful. Let's see. I'm falling way behind. You guys are very chipper this morning. Ratagious, good morning. -10 Celsius here. It's a little chilly. Lovely. A balmy 12 degrees Fahrenheit, says Katrina. That's cold too. That's cold. Let's see. Who did I miss? We've got Maureen. Is there someone I missed here on the list? Some of you I'm seeing again for the second time here, which is great. Isabella, good to see you this morning. Beach weather, says Michelle. Yeah, this is 55 degrees. That's cold for Florida. It is chilly. When you don't have a jacket because you never need one, 55 degrees gets cold. Let's see. Georgia, happy Monday, everyone. It is a wonderful Monday. Tina comes in this morning with a super chat right off the bat. Says, thank you and Mrs. R.A. for all your dedicated work. Here's a donation to the Gear Fund. As a photographer, I understand. Gear, and more gear. Tina, truer words have never been spoken. I am so excited about this. This is my Christmas present to myself. And it came a little bit early, which I'm fine with. But hopefully we can all enjoy it as it enables us to see things we weren't able to see before. So we'll be using that more. Let's see. Maureen says we're going on the big screen. So thank you, Maureen. Enjoy. Hopefully you can get past me getting a sunburn here in the morning. Ryan Hall, y'all, says there's a monster storm coming through before Christmas. Looks like it'll miss Utah, but the rest of you are toast, says Katrina. It's going to be rough. We might have a white Christmas, right? Is that the idea? Or is it just going to be freezing, just frigid and no snow? Bob KF7AIK says 1 degree on my commute. Well, that's windows down weather, Bob. 1 degree. No, just kidding. My window is down on my car right now. Because the driver's side window yesterday gave up the ghost as it was being rolled down one last time. It decided that the down position is what it wants to remain in. So it was a chilly commute yesterday as we were driving with the window down. I'll have to fix that after the live stream today, but that'll be fun. I've never torn apart the door of a car before and been able to put it back together and have it look anything like it did beforehand. So we'll see how that goes. I might have to share some pictures. Bella says, lurking, have to work today. I'm sorry, but welcome. I'm glad you're lurking at least. Maybe we can make your workday go a little smoother. Lindsay's in the house as well. Let's see. I think I missed everyone. I think I got everyone. I don't think I missed anyone here. Smooth Trucking. Smooth Trucking, nice name. I love it. It's 18 degrees in Denver. I assume you travel a bit, judging from the picture. There's no way. Is that your truck, Smooth Trucking? That looks like something futuristic. I've never seen one like that on the road. That would be amazing if that was your truck. Is it like one of those electric Tesla trucks or something similar? Who did I miss here? Tom was saying, I'm pretty sure that's how my grandpa coincidentally, a JB also just passed. He probably went outside to smoke in the cold, fell, and didn't make it. Be careful, JB, if you're an older gentleman. I'm sorry, Tom. I'm sorry to hear your grandfather passed. JB has a son who's taking care of him and makes sure he's all right. He's able to help him out there. So I think he's good. I'm sure he'll check in periodically. He did want to just say shout out to all you fellow addicts. I think he wanted to leave a message so you could hear him, and unfortunately I answered, so he got me instead. But just wanted to pass that along. It was great talking to JB. Ed, it's 49 in Winter Garden, Orlando Winter Garden area. Oh, shiny new tech. Yes, let's go ahead and show that off right now. I think I'm caught up mostly with chat. If I miss somebody, just drop your name again and wave, and I'll mention you. Okay, can you guys see what I can't see? So let's put this on. So you guys remember the chase?
Just glad they decided to. Don't know why in that moment.
You remember this chase, right? This was the chase that where the car ended by the liquor store. The guy got out and he ran. Well, this particular video camera, this particular angle didn't show very well the guy running, but we know that he had a black T-shirt on, a baseball cap, and blue jeans. Lori's jumping up and down. Me, you missed me. I'm here. Lori, thank you for being here. Wonderful. Patty J as well. I missed you as well, Patty. Thank you so much for being here. So look at this live stream. Man, this is so bright. Hopefully you can see it better than I can. So this is the helicopter coming around over the top of the building where all the cars are on the bottom, right in the middle center of the screen, the bottom middle center area. That's the liquor store. That's the front of the liquor store. And we know the suspect ran into that liquor store. And this helicopter, it zooms in a little bit. That's not the suspect, but the suspect ran right next to that car and went straight into the store. So as this car's backing out and another customer gets in, opens the door, and they're ready to leave, the camera pans up to a gentleman who was walking up the sidewalk, just there in the middle of the screen. He was walking up the sidewalk, and we know from another angle that it was 7 seconds after the guy ran into the store that this gentleman was about at the top of the screen there, where we see right now. Well, this camera is a little bit behind that, and he catches it right after the police officer has pulled in. The officer has opened his door right there, right at the top of the screen, and he's stepped out and challenged the guy, and he's pulled his firearm, and he said, something to the effect of, put your hands up, right? So the gentleman, he puts his hand up, he spins around, says, hey, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just here getting a drink. He had a tall boy in his hand that he put down right before he put his hands up. He says, not me. I didn't do anything. You got the wrong guy. I'm just walking home, and I'm going to keep walking home. He leaves his tall boy right there by his feet, and he starts walking. As soon as he starts walking, you'll see the officer reach with his left hand down to his belt, and then he's going to look back at the car. See the officer looking back at the car? He's pressed like a garage door opener on his belt. It's a release mechanism that unlocks and opens the passenger door on the canine for the canine, and it also springs open the door. So the dog doesn't have to push the door open, right? It just opens that way. So here's the door opening right there. Dogs can come out immediately and look for the owner, right? Look for the handler. It comes around, looks for the handler to see where the handler is directing his attention. Dog gets the cue from the handler and then says, oh, there's my toy right there. And so he goes up, and the dogs are trained not to attack directly, but to get right in the face. And if they attack, they'll move. So watch what the dog does here. I'm gonna make this full screen on my screen so I can see it a little bit better. Okay. So as the dog goes up here, it goes up and it barks, sort of gets right in his face, so like jumps at him and barks. And the guy backs up, puts his hands up, right? I don't believe he's bit here. The dog hasn't bit. So he's not making any threatening moves on the dog. So what does the dog do? He's like, well, that guy's not fighting me. Goes back to the officer. Says, okay, that was fun. What's next? Officer gives a command and says, no, that's it. So the dog turns, and now it makes a lunge. It bites the guy on the arm. Okay? The guy still does not fight. He's not doing anything to hurt the dog. He's not punching it. He's not hitting it. He bites. He's not even fighting the dog, so the dog lets go again. Okay? The dog turns back again, and you'll see the officer with his hand again give another command, say, right there, get him. Dog lunges again look what the individual's doing, right? What motion is he making? He's getting down on the ground. He's crouching down, and he sends the dog on him a third time. Now the dog gets a good hold right near the elbow area on this gentleman, and so the dog's pulling him off balance as he's holding on. He's not kicking, he's not hitting the dog or anything. But as the dog's got him, the officer moves in, grabs him, pulls him by the head forward, down onto the ground. Now the dog, when you've ever played with a dog, when the dog has one end of the toy and you have the other, it becomes sort of like a tug of war. And we see the officer doing this here with the gentleman in the middle. So the dog's on one side and the officer is pulling on the other. And so the dog thinks now it's time to shake and bite. and you see the officer, the gentleman is just getting ragdolled between the officer pulling one arm on one side and the dog thinking it's a game on the other. So the dog keeps biting, keeps shaking. Gentleman's not doing anything. He's not resisting at all. The other officer wisely does not move in. This officer should not go in there and try to handle that dog. That dog is not trained to respond to him. So he doesn't do anything here. But once he gets one cuff on the gentleman, and then he comes across, grabs the back of the neck of the dog, and now he has to get the dog to release, which isn't easy. So the camera zooms out a little bit, but we can see from the movement, like right here, the dog is still attached to the guy's arm. And now he releases right here. And as he releases, the guy sort of rolls around a little bit on his back and is not resisting arrest at all. You can see there's not a pile of police officers on him trying to hold him down. But that's what happened. Then we go back here, and basically the whole gist of the situation was...
That's not him.
Yeah, it was not him.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
Okay, so that was fun. We wouldn't be able to see that normally without that slow motion. Let me change my screen so I can see what's happening here. Let's go here. Okay. All right, so we're back. The sun's almost gone. Let's see. Lee says, is he single going to be a good catch in a few months? He's probably going to get a good settlement. I realize he did something wrong, and he walked away from the officer. But I bet that the use of force for the situation, he didn't meet that threshold, especially returning the dog on him over and over. So yeah, we'll see. The city lost a bunch of money. I believe so. I've been bitten by a dog that size. It's no fun. And Katrina, you went back for more. You go back for more every day. I will tell you what I did. Smooth Trucking says, sue the department and fire that cop at a minimum. We don't have all the information. I admit I don't have the information. So the guy the dog was trying to eat was not the suspect. I thought they said he was. Abby, they did say he was. But from the video we've watched, we know he isn't. We had 3 different helicopter footage that we tracked, and we were able to watch everything. He was already at the liquor store before the suspect vehicle pulled up and bailed out. He would have had to have changed both his body size, his clothing, and got a tall boy in 7 seconds to be the right person. And that's just not possible. So here's what I did. Last night, late last night, I filed a Freedom of Information Act request with the state of California, with the California Highway Patrol. And I've requested copies of all video from body cam footage, from dash cam footage, from airship footage with the police helicopter, as well as recordings of police radio traffic, incident reports, use of force reports, or any other arrest reports pertinent to this arrest. I asked for everything. And they have 10 days to respond. I'm hopeful, because California actually is pretty good about releasing this type of footage. I'm hopeful that we'll have some of that. I have not seen it anywhere else in the press. I have not seen anyone who's got a hold of this yet. Basically, the news cameras, once the chase is over, they've sort of lost interest. But to me, I think this is a big part of that story, is that the wrong person was, and possibly might still be, arrested and waiting trial to prove that it wasn't him. But anyway, Richard Davis, great toy you have. I'm glad I can share it with you guys. Seriously, I'm super excited. I think what I'm going to try to do is when we're watching a chase, I will record everything live. And if there's anything if anything happens, a crash or something, we can stop and rewind and see exactly what happened. A police dog is considered an officer. So do they sue the dog and the city? I don't think they sue the dog. Just like the dog can't get a pension, but they definitely sue the city and the agency, the police department. The problem, I believe, is they had a suspect car had a little gap when they bailed, so the officers probably didn't have a clear description like we saw in the news footage. And Tom, that's why I requested a copy of the audio, the police radio traffic, because we know from what we hear from the news cameramen who were listening to that radio traffic as it happened, that the helicopter was reporting they had the light on the suspect. And this was the gentleman they had the light on. So that's probably where this officer got his information. But the helicopter was wrong, in my opinion. Pretend the like button is sus in question. Hit the like button. I tell my dog all the time to crack open his piggy bank, says Katrina. Your dog cracks open the piggy bank? That's a skill. Good morning, Ann. Good to have you here. 1 million bits of kibble for the payout, says Weatherwatch. Weatherwatch, we've got to hook up. I'm not sure what your schedule is today, but I'm almost set up for any time, sort of thing. We're going to get Weatherwatch on the channel here a little bit, especially as we've got this storm moving in. I think this week of all weeks, it would be great to have Weatherwatch's great expertise about just this massive storm that's going to be coming through and pushing through most of the United States. Dogs don't get a pension. That's not fair. No, but they get a good life, and when they do retire, they get a good home, and generally the officer will keep the dog. Canine did the job proper. The officer didn't do his correct. Poor guy got bit. Yeah, it seems to me that there's an issue there. Sweet and Sassy, welcome, says, my ex is a canine handler. I assure you he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, and the dog reflects that. Somebody's going to settle this out of court for sure. It's never going to go to trial. A jury's not going to decide this settlement amount. Okay, so let's start to get our different feeds ready as we're trying here. We should have Aaron Dean very soon out of Texas. We should have a live feed from the courtroom. I think the judge will get underway right away. Ann says, we're looking at your back. Yeah, it's all right. I'm going to get video up here soon, I think. And let's see. Aaron Dean. Oops. There he is. Looking for the right feed here. That's WFAA. We'll get WFAA on the other system. Okay. Why did I send this cold weather to Florida? I don't think we've had the low 20s for years. Weatherwatch, these are questions you're going to have to answer. Being the weatherman that you're responsible for weather occurrences. And I think this might not be a good week for you. Pike County sentencing is happening today. That's awesome. I could not sit through that trial, but it will be interesting to see what the sentence is. Abby says, I sent you an email. I will look for it, Abby, for sure. And I do need to turn off the burner phone, or else when you guys text, it's going to go nuts. So let's see if I can silence it here. Also sort of scanning for an update from the California Highway Patrol to see if they have a quick response. But not so yet. Let's see. Settings. Do not disturb. Okay. So now the burner phone is ready for you to call. Because now it won't interrupt our show. As we wait here for Aaron Dean. Let's see, Fox 10. Let's see what we're looking for up here. Or Fox 4, sorry. Well, that's funny. I just searched for it and I found my own channel. That's not it. Okay. The jury's going to start deliberating. I'm not sure if the judge is going to bring us into the courtroom, actually. If he just tells them to start, if we'd never go on the record, really, on camera. I think it's a case of everything looking like a nail when you're a hammer. You get bit, everyone gets bit. There was a lot of biting going on. We know that. Lee here says, Weather Watch, can you order up some sunshine for Christmas Day for Australia, please? It won't stop raining here. Already flooded twice. Oh, man. We got a little bit of rain the tail end of last week. And I went to visit a neighbor over here. We were taking some cinnamon rolls and goodies and stuff around to some of our neighbors. And the house that we went to has a long dirt driveway. It's set back into an old field, a really old area. Actually, the land that the house is built on was what do they call it when the king gives you land? Well, that's what happened. The king gave the land to their ancestors, and it's been in the family since the 1700s, which is really cool. Anyway, so we went back there, but because of the rainstorm, there were huge potholes and mud holes. We almost had to go four-wheel drive to get in and out of the driveway. Storm's hitting us Thursday and Friday, says Toxic Orchid. It's not like 38 centimeters of snow was enough. No, that's not enough. You need more. It's expected to see motions for retrial on Pike County too. What was the big issue on that? As far as the retrial motions, what was their objection? Was there a major decision made that sort of was glaringly like, yeah, this is gonna come back? I mean, I'd have a motion to retrial just because the first one was so painfully slow. Can we have one that's a little faster that's easier to watch? Arkansas Magnet Fisher and Metal Detecting says, Recovery Addict, good morning. It's colder than well diggers behind. Brr. Yeah, it's chilly. And it's going to be chilly here for the rest of the week, I think. I'm not sure. Arkansas, are you going to get some snow out of this one? We'll see. You'll definitely get some ice, wherever it is. Well, Mama, -4 feels like -12. At that temperature, it's hard to tell the difference because everything's numb. Everything's just frozen. I hope Boone doesn't get lawyer number 6 fired. Will be interesting trial to watch. Angie, we're going to pick that up tomorrow. It's the 19th today to the 20th is her trial, not her trial, but her hearing, a status hearing with the judge. Judge Wooten has ordered everyone to come together and just figure out where they're at. I went through again. We've got all our documents in a row, so we can talk about why she's on lawyer number 6. We can look at all her letters and everything. We'll be doing that tomorrow, and then watching that hearing as it happens. There's some funny things in some of her letters. Like one of them, she says to the judge, I want to be present for all my dates. I'm like, I've never been on a date where I wasn't present, but I think she meant appearances. She'd like to appear in person for all her court dates. Still no live feed. Hi, lovely people. Welcome to this amazing channel. Please hit the like button. Thank you, Abby. Thank you so much. Appreciate you and all the other great mods we have here. Mostly ice next this week. I'm an ice fisherman at heart, Arkansas Magnet Fisher. I have not been ice fishing since I left the state of Utah, mostly because there's no ice thick enough to support me in North Carolina through over the winter. Tater Tot says, hello, people. Is that like a Nanu type? It's like a Star Wars live long and prosper type hand. I like that one. 35 here today so far, and you're above freezing, so you're in the warm area of the country. Lee here has a prediction for Dean Senate. Says 5 years on top of 2 years on bottom, serves 7 months if not out on appeal. Whatever the sentence is in jail, if he serves time, the law in his state in Texas, I believe that's where we are, says they have to serve half the time in jail in custody. So whatever it is, he'll spend at least half the time before he's eligible for parole. Now, they may give him, a 2 years in prison and then 10 years probation type thing for a total 12-year sentence. Then he would have to serve 1 year before he could be out on parole and then get the probation. I think that's how that works, as I understand it. Cakesmoo says, "Will your friends let you go over their yard with a metal detector?" Yes, I have already gone out there. There's actually a ring I need to find that's in there. One of the family members who has passed away now was eating an apple, and when he was getting down to the core, instead of throwing it in the garbage, it's in the country. You just throw it out in the field, and the chickens and everything will eat it. And they have all sorts of birds and animals. They even have a peacock there, which is amazing. But he was out on the deck, and he just took the last bite of the apple and then chucked it as far as he could, and the ring came off at the same time. And it just flew into the grass, and he didn't notice it. He didn't see it fly, but he felt it off, and it sort of turned, and it was too late. He didn't know where it went. And I still haven't found it. Now, the problem there is that this property has overgrown a ton. It's like a jungle. So maybe during the winter time when a lot of things have died back, I'll be able to go out there and find that ring. Are we going to cover the next DB trial out of Milwaukee, I believe, at the beginning of the year? We're going to try, Tom. We've got a lot of things, a lot of moving pieces as far as different court dates coming up, and we're going to try to get what we can. And DB is definitely one I would be interested in, especially seeing what he looks like with representation, because we haven't really seen that before. Let's see. Give me a second to get WFAA pulled up here. There we go. Okay, so we've got 3 feeds coming in, but none of them have a courtroom video yet. So as soon as that happens, we'll bring everybody in. Okay. Let me catch up. Where are we at in chat? Lori and Chad Daybell trial starts today. I wish it was live. Me too, Michelle. That was one that would just be full of information. We might have to go back after the fact and sort of hear the reports of what's happening. But really, without the video, without the audio, it's really hard to follow along on the channel. Okay. I love taters. Taters are fantastic. I love taters. I started drinking the pickle juice, by the way, at your recommendation. The pickle juice from the spicy maple bourbon pickles, and I really enjoyed it. It's fantastic. They're contrary to how it might sound. You cannot get drunk off it. There's no alcohol in the pickle juice. That's all cooked out, but it's really good. Pauline says, Recovery Addict, I watched all of your recovery hunts yesterday. Enjoyed them very much. I would love to know if one of your finds was silver brooch. Yes, it was. That was a silver brooch, and it was the one that was very dark, if I remember correctly. And that's how silver corrodes. It turns almost black. But it's very, if I remember, that one was thin and had a little gem in it, it was a fake gem. Let's see, just tracking news from my mug, January 27th, just in time for DB's trial. January 27th? It's taking a month? One of you, I'm trying to remember who, one of you ordered 2 mugs, a pink and a blue, and only 1 mug showed up. And I just wanted to let you know I've contacted the shipper and said, hey, there's a problem here, and they're looking in. We're trying to get you a replacement mug sent out right away. And I apologize for the delay on that one. But hopefully the second one's on the way here soon. Bite Me says, did you get my message over the weekend? Hi, everyone. Good morning. I got a lot of messages, but I can't remember in the moment what you said. Let's see. Bite Me. Let's see. We had... Okay. I'll have to look. I don't see it off the top of my head. Had a nightmare about DB this early AM. He was holding my family hostage. Mars, that's a rough start to the morning. Christmas week, starting with being held hostage by DB is not good. It's December. When does winter begin for you? Well, it's still pretty warm. I say winter because there's here in North Carolina, the seasons for growing crops seem to stretch all the way into almost first snowfall. The last thing to get pulled off the field was the soybeans, and they're pulled off now. But we sort of have to wait till the fields are clear to really hit the fields, and so this is the time to do a lot of the field work, because early next year they're going to start plowing and planting, and then the fields will sort of be off limits from then on. So I've got several things. We've got a Civil War location that I have to detect, a private property, and others. Let's see. I wonder if he's been quiet with representation. I doubt it. Well, he has to be quiet. The judge is not supposed to talk to him. He is not supposed to talk with representation. That's how it works. It's basically the lawyer is your mouthpiece. He does all the speaking for you, unless you have to be specifically addressed by the judge. Pike County sentencing. We'll watch that. I want to hear we won't watch, but we'll listen to that one through chat, I think. Katrina says, I bought some maple bourbon pickles yesterday. Haven't tried them yet. Katrina, put them in the fridge. They're best if you really chill them before you start. Get them nice and cold for an hour or two, and then give them a taste. Walmart has the mega jars. They're good-sized jars, but I found that even the big jars are single-serving size. Samantha Terry says, Recovery Addict, good morning. I've been introducing myself to you. You have all made me welcome, so I'm finally here as my true self. P.S. formerly known as Sam Terry. Thanks, everyone. Well, Samantha Terry, thank you for being able to come out of your shell here and be who you want to be in our chat. Welcome. Love that you're here. Thank you so much. Love metal detecting, but those old bones can't stand the cold. I would like to try magnet fishing, Arkansas. I've got I'll have to send you pictures. There's an old mill that we drove by yesterday. Actually, when I was on Saturday, when we went to, and I showed my little video, there's an old mill that's down between Kinston and Dudley, North Carolina, on this little back road. And the mill is it's like crumbling into the river, but it's still sort of open. And the building, the structures, the base is still there and stuff. And it's this huge open area. The road goes right over it. I would love to magnet fish there. But I don't have a magnet. I'll have to get one. It was about the 5 Louisiana State Police that were arrested. Okay, I did see that, but I haven't followed the story closely. I want to read more, and I want to figure out what's going on there, because that is bizarre. The midwife trial, with the lawyers being so loud, the mic picked up their smack talking. We had a hot mic issue on the midwife trial. I know she was found not guilty, right? That's what I heard. Isabella has been looking for the pickles and cannot find them. You might have to ask. I know you can get them online, but they're ridiculously expensive. They should be like $3.84. That's roughly what I pay. $3.84, $3.87, something like that. Let's see. I actually feel human, says Toxic Orchid. You're feeling better. Good. I feel like I've got like a wannabe cold, but only when I lay down. I feel like a little congested when I lay down. I found several guns magnet fishing and had to call the police over them. One was a stolen gun. Do you get to keep the guns when you find them? Do you get the guns back? I do like watching the magnet fishing videos when they find hand grenades and things like that, which would be a little sketchy. Okay. Well, let me check the feed to see. Sometimes the judge gets underway so quickly the cameras can't keep up with him. So let me check our sources on the ground. Just in other news, Elon Musk posted overnight, 15 hours ago, he posted, "Should I step down as head of Twitter? I will abide by the results of this poll." The final results are yes, 57%, no, 43%, and that is 17,502,391 people voting. I would just suggest that, and just life lesson here, if you do buy something for $44 billion, that you don't let the public, through a purely democratic process, decide the outcome of what you purchased. That to me just seems not smart. That's how it starts. Take care of yourself. Oh no, is it going to be bad? We can't. We have important cases today. I can't get sick. Let's see. What do you call the thing you use for magnet fishing? I want to try it. It is a magnet. It's a magnet on a rope. And if you type in magnet fishing, you can find several. But some of the cheaper ones, I'll say, and maybe Arkansas could give some more advice on this. But some of the cheaper ones don't have like the Loctite you need, and the magnet might come detached from the rope, or the eye might unscrew from the magnet. So you want to get a good set that has a magnet that's powerful enough to pick up what you want, and not so powerful that if it gets stuck on the bridge, you won't be able to take it home that day. Because that's a risk. The magnets are so powerful. I mean, they can have like 1,200 pounds of pull, and that's more than I can lift. And so, yeah, if you if you get stuck on a permanent, a heavy pylon or something, you almost need a winch or a truck to drag it off. Bite me. You're still looking at a metal detector, or because $500 is much more than you need to spend on a fishing magnet. They're much cheaper. Richard Davis, was Meta released? We can't tell. I was talking with Matthew the day it happened, and I had him searching, and I was searching. We couldn't find an appearance before a magistrate, and we think what might have happened is that the judge had, after he sort of closed court, called Mata back in and brought him back in because he was just in that holding cell. He probably hadn't been taken to the jail yet. Said, hey, bring him back in now that Aaron Dean and everybody's gone, and then they probably settled the issue right there. So I don't know if he's released. I do expect him to post a video of some kind unless the judge orders him not to. I mean, if he's under a gag order on it, at least until the Aaron Dean case is over, then we won't hear until then. But I expect him to, at some point, he'll give us the information about what happened. Let's see. I think you're talking about DB. Wouldn't it be great if he came in bound, gagged, and restrained to a chair? Seen, not heard. Okay, we got most of it. We got he was in custody in chains and restrained to a chair. That's why they wheeled him in. But he was not gagged. He was quiet, at least when he appeared. Arkansas, let me give you mod rights here really quickly. Give me just 1 second. I'll release it. I'll take it back here in just a minute. But Arkansas is going to share his YouTube channel. I believe, Arkansas, you've got some magnet fishing information, which would be wonderful, and some of the people in our audience would love to hear that. So go ahead and link your channel. That would be perfectly appropriate. Okay, Bite Me. I'm gonna get in touch with you probably after a live stream, just to make sure, because I'd love to make a recommendation for a metal detector for you, but I just want to make sure I understand how you anticipate using it, and then I can find one that has the features that'll probably work best for you in your price range. But that's perfectly doable. Your price range will get you a great starter machine that I think you'll be happy with and can find some great targets. Heather says, my son wants to magnet fish. Will you recommend a starter kit or the specific items to have fun with it? Heather, I would see what Arkansas Magnet Fisher has posted here. Take a look at his channel. Arkansas, maybe you can set me straight, but there's a good chance you probably recommend a certain type or use a certain type of magnet fishing magnet. Hopefully there's something there, because I just don't have the experience with the magnets to say this is a good one to start with. There are some nice ones out there. You can find them on Amazon, but I'll let Arkansas sort of lead that one. I want to get into it as well, Heather. And if Arkansas recommends one to me, I can pass that recommendation on. Let's see. Toxic Work could link to the Discord. If you are not a member of the Discord, if you're new to this channel and haven't heard that there's an amazing Discord page that has invited all of us to participate, please give it a listen. Click over there and check out. You can dig through all the true crime data to your heart's content. Brenda says, I subbed, Arkansas. Wonderful. Yeah, so it sounds like he's got some information there. So thank you. I appreciate you sharing that, Arkansas. Love doing that. Still nothing from the courtrooms. We wait for the Aaron Dean trial to begin. It might be 10 o'clock if the judge started late this morning. Bite Me, as far as your metal detector dreams go, do you want to be do you want the coil to be underwater? I mean, you try to detect in the water, or just like hobby, field, park type stuff? What's magnet fishing? I didn't know fish were magnetic. Laura, magnet fishing is when you have a large, powerful magnet that you throw into a river, and the magnet is on a rope, and you sort of drag it through the river, and as it comes in contact with ferrous metal objects, it grabs hold of them, and because the magnet's so strong, it drags them out of the mud. at least in theory, if you do it right. And then you can lift it up, pull it up the bridge, and then you get to collect whatever it was. So whether it be a bicycle or one of those little electric scooters that somebody threw, or a shopping cart, or, just it could be a million things. And a lot of times people find guns that have been disposed of or thrown away, maybe possibly stolen or used in a crime. So they call it fishing because you're throwing something in the water and attempting to retrieve it. Lindsay says, good morning. Hope everyone is warm. Texas has a wild forecast this week. It's going to feel like a whopping 1 degree on Thursday. Shiner, Texas. I feel like I should start a fire now. Just build a huge bonfire. Try to keep everything warm. Good. We got some subs for Arkansas. Wonderful. How many? Let me see. How many? Do we have to get you a certain number of subs, or are you already established as far as that goes? Arkansas. Let's see. In new tab. Yeah, we only need to get you about 650 more subs. That's what we need. I'll take a look at your channel here, and I'm also going to sub, because for some reason I thought I was, but I'm not. But I'm subbed now. Thank you. So still nothing from trial. Just waiting. WFAA is sort of doing a recap on the previous week, where we're at. Ed comes in with the first dad joke. Real Zinger says, you usually use magnet fishing for steel trout. Ba-dum-bum, ba-dum-da-bump, dump. Yeah, something like that. Ba-da-bum, beat-em, dump. Here in Texas, we just wear multiple hoodies. That's winter attire. Lindsay says, y'all, I don't even own a coat. Right, I have not worn one in so long. I'm not sure if I'd know how to put it on, Lindsay. I'm wearing shorts today. Arkansas, glad we can help. Anytime our channels cross, I'd love to be able to help you out. And likewise, if you have some expertise, sometimes in some of these cases, and you have some ability to go live on YouTube, sometimes we can bring people in. So maybe one day we'll see each other on the same live stream. Toasty, 34 degrees. Yeah, you can't complain if you're above freezing today. I think that's the rule we set already. Let's see. It's 21 degrees here in Ohio. That's cold. Lindsay, here in Utah, we wear shorts and a coat. We get all 4 seasons in one day. Okay, any minute now, we're expecting the judge to sit down and at least have a camera turned on so we can see what's happening. The microphone is. Should I tell you? I know what my Christmas present is from Mrs. R.A. Is it wrong for me to know that? And it might be something that I can use on the stream. Well, I know it's something I can use on the stream. I guess I can't tell you what it is until Christmas. So you guys have to wait for the surprise, even though it's not technically a surprise for me. Okay, let's catch this. This is an update from Fox 4 about an hour ago.
A former Fort Worth police officer could learn his punishment today.
Yeah, Aaron Dean was found guilty of manslaughter last week in the 2019 shooting death of Atatiana Jefferson. Fox 4's Dan Godwin is live this morning in Fort Worth, where the jury will begin deciding
he's got a coat on.
Sentence. Dan.
Brandon, testimony in the punishment phase of this trial wrapped up
Testimony's
on
over.
Friday.
Yeah.
Now it is up to the jury to decide on a sentence, and there's no telling for certain exactly what that's going to look like. Last week, Aaron Dean was found guilty of manslaughter in connection with the 2019 shooting death of Atatiana Jefferson. Jefferson was shot through a window while she was inside her mother's home. She had been babysitting her nephew. When the punishment phase began Friday, jurors heard testimony from Jefferson's family members and Dean's family as well. Dean could be sentenced from 2 to 20 years in prison, but the jury also has the option of giving Dean probation.
In Texas, if you've never been convicted of a felony, for most felony convictions, you're eligible for probation from a jury. There's a few exceptions, but manslaughter is one that the jury could give probation if they thought it was the correct thing to do. It's difficult to say.
Okay, so
you know, most cases
let me turn down his audio here
death,
for just a minute.
Do not result in probation.
Yeah. So that's where we are. We're waiting. Nobody has a feed yet, but they're just talking about what's coming up as the testimony is over. So we saw last week that it looks like trial started again, but really it was just a testimony for the sentencing phase. That's all done now. So the only thing left, there might be a tiny bit of court work to do, some legal checking of boxes with the attorneys, but then the jury is really going to go out and deliberate and hopefully come back quickly with the sentence for Aaron Dean. And we'll get a great insight into what the jury thinks, because if they come back with all probation, it'll be interesting. Let's see. Let's switch back again. All right, so he's still going on. There we go. Yeah. We're going to let them keep talking. Okay. Let's see. Someone who was Andriel. Did I say that right? Andriel? Saying you pretended to be Bugs Bunny eating icicles like they were carrots, which is sort of funny. I did that as a kid too, but when I did it, ice was clean. Now, nowadays, when I look at icicles, there's all sorts of shingle grit and stuff in them. Yeah, it would be a riot if it came back as all probation. I'm pretty sure there would be some uproar. MB, I've heard that as well, because they disappear. And if enough time passes, there's no evidence of them being there. They're not the best because they're not that sturdy. WFAA says Matt is still in jail, 7 charges. Okay, if he's still in jail, then maybe we can find him. That would be interesting. Let's see. Let me show you what Law and Crime has going on right now. Just one second. This is Dean and his sister, I believe. I don't know if this is live or not. We're not getting any audio stream with this. It's just, let's see. I don't remember this video occurring any other time during the trial. Is this his sister that's a police officer as well in Fort Worth? Okay, so Law and Crime is talking, or WFAA, let's take that one just for a minute. They're talking about this. This was, they just called Mr. Mata.
You can stand right there at the rail for me.
This happened
please.
on Friday.
Right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm testimony given this cause to be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, self be God.
I don't know what this is about.
Hey, Judge, may we approach?
I don't understand what's going on.
I'm swearing you in as a witness. So,
Under what authority, sir?
That was the wrong thing to ask a judge. Okay, so I posted this video with all the subtitles. So if you turn the closed captioning on, you go to my channel. I posted a video that shows this entire interaction with Mr. Mata and the judge, the attorney, both attorneys, and I posted that online. So you can turn the closed caption on and hear and read everything they're saying back and forth as it happens. So it is a little hard to hear right now, but as we wait for the jury to leave on this old clip.
Mr. Mata, is your name Manuel Mata?
Yes, sir.
Your date of birth is 7/8 of 1980?
Yes, sir.
All right. I have issued you an oath to testify truthfully. Are you going to take that oath?
I have a question, sir.
No. Are you going to take that oath?
No.
All right. You are on bond on some cases, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Those bonds are being declared insufficient, Sheriff.
What, sir? What's going on? What did I do? I need my lawyer present, sir.
We will get your lawyer.
You question me without a lawyer present. And I don't know what y'all are doing. I don't know what's going on. For what? For what? I asked him a question.
I wonder what the bond was set to. Enough that he couldn't get out, I guess.
I don't have no knowledge of this case. And I just wanted to know who's asking for me to be sworn in. The DA, the defense, the judge, who's asking it? Those are questions I need answers if you're going to revoke.
Just walk. He didn't revoke him.
Let me see the lawyers.
So yeah, that was quite the shocker. And apparently,
Let's see what happens
the issue,
here.
what I've been told with Manuel Mata was he was believed to be part of a group of people that was yelling at the family, Aaron Dean's family, the day before. I don't know what Mr. Mata's involvement in that was or was not, so I want to be careful here. But
Defense called the witness.
You saw the defense want to swear him in, and also earlier in the day they had done something similar with another guy, although that guy agreed to be sworn in, so he got to leave of his own volition.
Sure.
What do you think about what you just saw there, and what's the potential problems with it?
Well, I'm assuming that they just didn't want him no longer in the courtroom, and then at this phase of the trial, it's during the sentencing phase, so they could call him for whatever reason if they so chose, and in regards to the defense, since they're the ones that sought to have him sworn in as a witness. I don't know the particulars in regards to the cases that he's on bond for. I don't know how Mr. Mata has been doing while on bond. So, I mean, if I don't know if refusing to be sworn in would be a violation of the conditions of those bonds, if there are conditions on those bonds.
Mr. Mata has a somewhat, he's some sort of constitutional activist, kind of a police court watcher type. You know, you see this from time to time. He had a number of cases. I was trying to look at him over the weekend, actually, just out of curiosity. Interference with public duties, multiple cases, resisting arrest.
Sorry about that. I just got a call from an old friend, and the number came through. I'm like, hey, I've been trying to get a hold of him. I will call him back, though. Okay, so that's where it's happening. We have something coming up here, actually, from Law and Crime. Looks like we're in the courtroom now. So, Ed, great question. What did the defense want to do, or why?
Before we bring the jury in,
it was the prosecution.
We need to put in the record.
The prosecution wanted the sidebar.
Mr. Brissett.
Traditionally, under Rogers versus State, the defense would put stuff on outside the presence of the jury and the state for trial strategy purposes. But given the events that have transpired over the last 2 days we've been in court, I think it's appropriate to make sure the record's very clear as to what was going on Thursday evening outside the Kim Curry Criminal Justice Center, if I may.
Yes.
So this is
without revealing sources and methods, when the Dean family was removed or escorted from the building, there were individuals not part of the Carr family at all. They've been most gracious to us and to the Dean family throughout this whole trial. There are hangers-on, though, that have taken it upon themselves to interject themselves in this case. And one of those is Mr. Mata. Mr. Mata and several other individuals, some dressed in full military fatigues, some dressed in full face coverings or baklavas to hide their identity, decided to speak in words that probably shouldn't be spoken in open court and caused the Dean family to be in fear to the level I say rises to Texas Penal Code 2207 of terroristic threat.
Terroristic threat, that's a serious one.
Without revealing which law enforcement agencies were in plain clothes, law enforcement officials that are Texas peace officers were in close contact with the family and observed the 2207 violations. And at the time, they did not know who Mr. Mata was. As we came into Thursday evening, at the same time that's going on, simultaneously a series of death threats were being issued to the defense team as a whole via communication systems, which isn't the first time we've received death threats, but these were more specific and carried the same tone and nature that was going on the streets outside the Justice Center at the time. As we went on to the next day, Friday, when we were here last in court, initially the state was gracious enough to provide us an image of Mr. Mata from the Tarrant County Sheriff's Department system. Mr. Mata has a series of pending cases. He's also a convicted felon. He has assaulted cases in his past, and the undercover plainclothes officers were not able to do a positive identification based on the last mugshot that we had in the system. It wasn't until Mr. Mata made his appearance here in your actual courtroom that the plainclothes officers were able to positively identify Mr. Mata as being one of the same that did a bull rush toward one of their vehicles and was creating the overtones of the terroristic threat.
Wow.
This court's well aware during the history of this building, though we have metal detectors, other objects that could cause people serious bodily injury have been brought into this building surreptitiously. My law partner, Bob Gilman, he was a prosecutor, was attacked with a knife made out of a glass shank during Capitol voir dire at one point.
Wow.
Metal detectors only do certain things. Mr. Mata sat within the 21-foot rule of the Dean family in the courtroom. As the state's expert, Mr. Priest, talked about 21 feet, probably should be 35 at this point. He had on multiple layers of clothing. We could not identify if he had anything on him. The same people he was threatening to cause harm to the day before, he's now within arm's reach up in the courtroom. The defense's contention all along is this case should have been moved out of town for publicity and the security risks that were going to go on. The defense asked to have Mr. Mata sworn in and others sworn in at the time last week to make a bill of exception to our continued issue of the change of venue. We were going to do that with Mr. Mata at a break. That's why we asked to have him sworn in. Mr. Mata refused to take the oath, and everybody else got to see what happens when you choose not to take the oath at that point, and they're disrespectful to a court that's in session. So for those reasons,
wow,
that's why
they were going to have
Mr. Mata sworn in without revealing all the sources and methods of the undercover peace officers that are assisting in this case. We felt that the terroristic threat event that took place on Thursday warranted him being sworn in to be put as part of a proffer for our bill of exception as to why the change of venue had not been granted.
The court had received information from security as to their concerns as to Mr. Mata, and additionally the state had furnished to the court a list of his convictions, his pending cases. There are multiple convictions for assault. There are 4 pending cases for interference with public duties. And when I saw him come into the courtroom and sit within the immediate reach of the Dean family, it caused me some concern. But that is over. My goal is to do a fair trial and to make everybody feel safe in this courtroom. And
if I could add, Judge, without revealing our sources and methods, Mr. Mata is quoted in the hallway, "I shouldn't be here today. I know I'm going to be arrested." And that was on Friday, indicating, I guess, events previous, which I can only think would be the terroristic threat crime that he committed, not only in the presence of those plainclothes, uniformed sheriff's department, and Tarrant County Criminal District attorney employees that can witness and know what a violation of the law is when they see it.
well, as I said previously, my goal is to protect everyone. In fact, when all this was happening, I looked up and the state was over in the well of the jury box, away from their tables, and I felt what I needed to do at the time to protect everyone for courtroom security. Mr. Mata's bonds will be reinstated today, and so we can move on. Mr. Smith, does the state have anything you need to place in the record?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
All right. Are both sides ready for the jury?
State's ready.
Okay, let's go.
All right, we're going to take a different feed, which is going to back us up just a little bit, but it's, I like that one better. Okay, so We're waiting for the jury here, right here. Yeah, that's interesting. A little more information. Here we go. The jury's going to get charged here. This is they've heard all the evidence. It's time to make a decision on the sentence. Yeah, I wonder what the jury's going to be told, if anything, on that. We did hear from defense. Let's see. See you, Bob. Thanks for joining us on your commute. Have a great day. I like these emojis. Are they eyeballs on hands? Hands holding eyeballs? I don't know. Yeah, but eyes popped out of your head type thing. That was bizarre. If you want to watch that with the interaction where he was arrested, you want to watch that with the closed caption, and I do have that video on my channel. You can check it out.
Good morning. Members of the jury, the defendant Aaron York Dean has been found guilty by you of the offense of manslaughter. Therefore, it now becomes your duty to determine the punishment to be assessed against the defendant. The punishment for the offense of manslaughter is by confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for any term of not more than 20 years or less than 2 years. In addition, a fine not to exceed $10,000 may be imposed. You are instructed that in determining the defendant's punishment, you may take into consideration all of the facts shown by the evidence admitted before you in the full trial of this case and the law as submitted to you in this charge. In this case, the defendant has filed, before trial, his sworn motion in which he requests that if he is convicted, he be placed on community supervision. If you find that the defendant has not ever been convicted of a felony in this or any other state, and you assess the punishment of the defendant at confinement for a term of not more than 10 years, and you recommend that he be placed on community supervision, then let your verdict show the punishment which you assess, and further show that you recommend that his sentence be suspended and that he be placed on community supervision. If you recommend that the defendant be placed on community supervision, the judge shall determine the conditions of community supervision
jury deliberates
and may, at any time during the period of community supervision, alter or modify the conditions. The judge may impose any reasonable condition that is designed to protect or restore the community, protect or restore the victim, or punish, rehabilitate, or reform the defendant. You may not recommend that part of the period of confinement be served by incarceration and part by community supervision. Should the punishment assessed by you include a fine, a recommendation of community supervision should state whether or not the fine will be paid or be suspended and probated. Whether you do or do not recommend community supervision for the defendant is a matter that rests within the sound discretion of the jury. However, if you do recommend community supervision, the court is required by law to follow the jury's recommendations. Our law provides a defendant may testify in his own behalf if he elects to do so. This, however, is a privilege accorded to the defendant, and in the event he does not testify, that fact cannot be taken as a circumstance against him. In this portion of the case, the defendant has not testified, and you are instructed that you cannot and must not refer or allude to this fact throughout your deliberations or take it into consideration for any purpose whatsoever as a circumstance against the defendant. The length of time for which a defendant is imprisoned may be reduced by the award of parole. Under the law applicable in this case, if the defendant is sentenced to a term of imprisonment, the defendant will not become eligible for parole until the actual time served equals 1/2 of the sentence imposed.
Right. Has to serve half the time.
If the defendant is sentenced to a term of less than 4 years, the defendant must serve at least 2 years before the defendant is eligible for parole.
Minimum of 2.
Eligibility for parole does not guarantee that parole will be granted. It cannot accurately be predicted how the parole law might be applied to this defendant if sentenced to a term of imprisonment, because the application of that law will depend on decisions made by parole authorities. You may consider the existence of the parole law. You are not to consider the manner in which the parole law may be applied to this particular defendant. Your verdict must be by a unanimous vote of all members of the jury. In deliberating on this case, you shall consider this charge as a whole, and you must not refer or discuss any matters not in evidence before you. If you need to communicate with me during your deliberations, the presiding juror should write the message, ring the jury call button on the wall, and give it to the bailiff. I will either reply in writing or bring you back into the court to answer your message. You are the exclusive judges of the facts proved of the credibility of the witnesses and the weight to be given to the testimony, but you're bound to receive the law from the court which is herein given and be governed thereby. And I've signed these instructions as judge.
Those are some pretty simple instructions.
The last 2 pages of the instruction contain the respective verdict forms. The first verdict form says community supervision not recommended. We, the jury, having found the defendant Aaron York Dean guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of the offense of manslaughter, assess his punishment of confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for, and there is a blank, for the presiding jurors to fill in the number of years that the jury agrees to. In addition, we do or we do not, and the presiding juror will circle that phrase, assess a fine in the amount of blank. So if you assess a fine, circle we do assess a fine. If you don't assess a fine, circle that. We do not recommend community supervision. And there's a space for the presiding juror to sign on that form. The second verdict form is on the last page, and it recommends community supervision. So in that situation, the presiding juror will fill in the number of years that you assess, between 2 and 10. There, again, you can assess a fine or don't have to assess a fine. If you do assess a fine and you're recommending community supervision, there's a for the presiding juror to certify whether you want the fine that you assess be paid or that it be suspended and placed on probation. Ms. Diener. I need the lights, Brian.
Brian, lights.
May it please the court.
Yes, ma'am.
Atatiana's family,
So here's the closing.
they
This is the
received their
last the jury
life
hears here.
sentence on October the 12th of 2019. They received their life sentence without her. They'll never get her back. As we approach the Christmas holiday and the end of this year, we think about those that we love. We grieve for those that we've lost. And for them, that sadness, the grief, there's multiple stages when you go through the loss of someone close to you. For those of us that have gone through that, we know what that's like. A few years can pass, and yet it feels like just yesterday that they were here. You heard Adarius testify. You heard Ashley testify. For Ashley, for Amber, for Adarius,
it's 2 and 20, I believe.
Zion,
did he say 2 and 10? It should be 2 and 20.
their whole lifetime will be without her. There's a part of grief that we all suffer when
She's
we
very
get to a
attached to
certain
this
point.
necklace. It's her
When you
image.
think about that person, there's a realization for us all. It's the finality of it. Right? In your heart, you miss them, you love them, and then you really realize they're never coming back. And that's the hardest part. And that's worth something. And in this case, it is worth something. Her life is worth so much more than a probation sentence. So much more. This family, her memory, her legacy, this community deserves more. In punishment, We brought you multiple witnesses.
Okay,
Those
I
were
think I know the
witnesses
answer to
we
this
were not
one,
able to
Susan.
bring you in the guilt innocence portion. You heard from Dr. Kyle Clayton, the forensic psychologist.
Let me let him finish here, and we'll go back and talk about
This
this.
is an expert that
Why he
both
said 2
sides
to 10.
call. He testifies and works for the defense. He testifies and works for the state. Whoever calls him, he does good work, and he testifies to whatever he finds. He was hired by the Fort Worth Police Department, as he's been with many other agencies, to do a pre-employment psychological evaluation. Narcissistic, grandiosity, has grandiose tendencies, domineering, over-controlling, forceful, dominant personality traits, uncritical of himself, denies flaws, minimizes behavior, little tolerance for disagreement, can be aggressive, has an unrealistic view of himself, someone that thinks that he can fly all of us in a commercial airline despite never having an hour of training. Someone that when you're asked to rank yourself, 9 out of 10. Not suitable for a position as a police officer. Psychologically speaking, he is not suitable because these tendencies that are well formed, ingrained, a thread throughout his entire personality, these are unchanged traits that put himself and others at risk. It is like a roadmap back in 2017 to how we ended up here and how we lost Atatiana back in October of 2019. These things don't change. And how do you know that even in the 3 years between the time that that was done and today? Because last week, the defendant testified. I think they did a pretty good job out there. You shot a woman in her own home. You disregarded every single standard operating procedural, general order, and just pure, reasonable human instinct.
That seems like a stretch.
A 28-year-old woman died, and you give yourself a fine job. You give yourself a B. This is not somebody that thinks he has done anything wrong.
Daniel, this part came out in the interview, pre-employment screening, like interview questions.
When the defense counsel
psychological
gets
exam.
up here, they're going to talk about the witnesses that they called. And those witnesses are not witnesses that you could hear from until now, till punishment. You heard from us, Dr. Clayton. You heard from us, Adarius Carr. You heard from us, Liz Turner. And why is Liz Turner important? Because we wanted to show you everything that we knew about him. And it's important to know, going all the way back to college, that's the way that he treats people. He's entitled, he's arrogant, he's aggressive. And that was 20 years ago, and she was talking to you from a place going right back there. She remembers that. She got emotional. It was hard for her. Because that's who he is.
You do 7 minutes, Ms. Duke.
Thank you. So when he gets up here, when the defense counsel gets up here and talks to you
She's behind schedule.
about why
She's speeding up.
you should give him probation, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to get up here in a minute and they're going to ask you for a very low sentence or probation. They're going to ask you for mercy. Mercy's been shown already for this defendant when your verdict was returned for manslaughter. Mercy is earned. It is not just given. And I want you to listen to why they're asking you for a low sentence or probation. Because his family got up here and said he was a good guy? Every case that I prosecute, there's a family member that gets up there and says they're a good guy. It's part of the deal. But I think it's important to think about the witnesses that we didn't hear from. Just as much as the ones that we did, right? Family members. We heard from one field training officer, just one single Fort Worth officer that said, I knew him for about 3 or 4 weeks. Didn't have very good personal skills. We kept up. I don't know anything about this case. But don't you know that if the Fort Worth Police Department and all those guys and girls that work for him, 18 months side by side with him, almost 2 years, don't you know if they had something good to say, they would have been in here? There would have been a line out the door. And don't you know that those 3 psychologists that gave him a passing score, if they had something good to say, if they disagreed with Kyle Clayton, don't you know they'd been in here saying that? They would. I guarantee you they would. But instead, we have a family, which they're good people. This is not their fault. This is not their fault.
Only if we go back in
Valuing
time, we
them
can watch it faster in the
or
past.
him over her is a tragedy. It is not right. It is not just. In this case, the only appropriate verdict is the maximum sentence. It's the only thing that's appropriate. And when the judge talked to you about the court's charge, I want y'all to think about, and y'all don't have copies with you, but you'll be able to go back and read this. When you go to this certain page, I want to ask you, do you feel comfortable with the fact that the judge gets to set the terms of probation? He gets to get off. If he wants to get off early, judge sets the terms. You heard from the probation officer talk about
Hang on, you're making the judge
probation
look
and
bad.
how it is. It is no different than what all of us do every day. That is not enough. That's not even a slap on the wrist. You heard that this defendant has been out on bond for the last 3 years with his family, laughing, doing projects with them, something that they don't get to ever do. They don't get to ever do that. Doing probation values that over them, and that is not okay. The other thing that's talked about in the court's charge is a fine. I can always get questions about the fine. If you want to put an exclamation point on your verdict, then you put a fine. It doesn't go directly to the family. It goes to a fund. So you put a fine as an exclamation point. When you think about this case, you all leave here today. They go home without her. Zion never gets to have Aunt Tay again. It doesn't matter if it's a year from now, 5 years from now, people are going to ask Zion, what happened to Aunt Tay? What happened? What did the jury do? And thankfully now with your verdict, he gets to say that they found him guilty. They're also going to ask another extremely important question. What did they do? What do you want Zion's answer to be? The only just verdict is 20 years. Anything less is a travesty of justice.
Hopefully Erin Dean gets credit for time served for the duration of her comments. Seemed to go long for a while. Couldn't stop staring at her necklace that has been featured prominently throughout this trial.
Good morning. Having an entire weekend to think about what remarks I was going to make here this morning is a long time. So I guarantee you I went over this matter in my mind 100 times or more about what I was going to say this morning. I've been up here for 30 seconds now, and I already know it's going to come out in a different way. But your verdict at the first phase of the trial is important to note. It's important to note what was said by the state of Texas, because if you take the emotion out of their remarks, there's really very little left. They want you to base a verdict base your verdict on emotion. You know, The family's not going to get to see Atatiana anymore. We know that. It's a tragedy. We've acknowledged that. We've talked to you about that. There is no changing that. Your verdict won't change that.
Yes.
It can't change that. You were talked to at the jury selection phase of this trial about whether or not you could give fair consideration to the idea of probation.
And what color is that tie he's wearing?
For someone that's been convicted of the offense of manslaughter. And each and every one of you said you could give fair consideration to that concept. And that presupposes that someone's life has been taken. And it presupposes that that person isn't going to be with us anymore, that their family's going to miss them. It presupposes there's been a tragedy overlaid over the facts of the case, which is exactly what we have here. A tragedy that'll never be changed. And the prosecutors were very defensive about the fact that we were going to ask you for probation in this case. That's because they know that that's really what this case is worth. But they want you to do something else. So, look at your verdict at the first phase of the trial. You found that Aaron did not act intentionally. You found that he did not act knowingly. You found that he did not intend for there to be a death resulting from his actions. Your verdict said you felt he acted recklessly, which is a much lower culpable state of mind than intentional or knowing. You know from the facts of the case that this case was not premeditated. There was no malice involved. There was no forethought involved. Remember the state stressing to you during closing arguments how fast this matter happened? That is a very important fact for you to consider in your deliberations at this phase of the trial. How quickly that decision had to be made. Aaron Dean is literally being judged for a second of his life today. And he's being judged under man's law, not God's law. The talk about eye for an eye, I'm not sure exactly what that was meant to convey to you during questioning of our witnesses, but we're not here about God's law. We're here about man's law. And the man's law is contained in the court's charge Judge Gallagher gave you. We're not here about money damages. That's for the civil court down the street. And you heard that there's a matter pending down there regarding this.
Yes. Civil court suit has already been filed.
This is about what is a fair and just verdict under the facts of this case and this case alone. What is the fair thing to do here? It's not a weighing or a balancing contest between the Carr family and the Dean family. It's not who's worth more. The judge doesn't tell you that in the court's charge. It's about what is the fair and just thing to do under the facts of this case. On the questionnaire that you filled out before trial, asking you about the three goals of punishment in the criminal justice system. Those three goals are the three purposes of punishment are punishment itself, rehabilitation, and deterrence. Those are the three things that you are to consider as jurors in a case. You are asked which of those is more important to you, punishment, rehabilitation, or deterrence. And the answers from the group of you vary. But if you are talking about punishment, what is he being punished for? There was a life lost, tragically. But Aaron was working in the line of duty as a police officer, as a law enforcement officer. He didn't take it upon himself to go hunt someone down that had wronged him before, or knowingly place someone in a dangerous situation waiting for him to spring a trap on them. He was trained by the Fort Worth Police Department. He was hired by the Fort Worth Police Department. He was assigned by the Fort Worth Police Department. He was dispatched out there that night in the line of duty. And his testimony to you was that he was protecting himself and his partner. So what are we going to punish him for? Yes, there was a life taken. That's true. But look at how these things happen. Look at the chain of events that set it all up. What is he culpable for? He didn't plan this thing. He didn't set out that night. He didn't get up that morning and go down to the police, go down to the headquarters and get his assignment with anything like this in mind. He was trained in the Fort Worth Police Department Academy to eliminate a threat. So keep that in mind, please. Secondly, rehabilitation. What are we going to rehabilitate Aaron from? You've heard by your verdict, he'll never be a police officer again. This situation is never going to repeat itself. He'll have to move on and find some other form of employment, which he's done as best he can. He's probably the person least in need of rehabilitation that's ever sat in a defendant's chair. Because he's a God-fearing, law-abiding citizen of our county. Yeah, Dr. Clayton came in here and said he was narcissistic, and you saw all those things placed on the board. Dr. Clayton had a very isolated opinion about Aaron Dean. 3 other psychologists disagreed with him. He was hired by the Fort Worth Police Department. Dr. Clayton didn't follow Aaron around the church. He didn't follow Aaron around in the choir. He didn't follow Aaron around in engineering school while he was getting his physics degree. Dr. Clayton said he could fly a commercial airliner. At least that's how I took it. Which tells you the subjectivity of the discipline of psychology. Dr. Clayton had a very isolated opinion of Aaron Dean. Look at the opinion of the people that know him best. Of course his family's going to testify. That's who he spends most of his time around. He's a family man. He's very involved with his family. Is that wrong? The prosecutor tried to make it seem like that's wrong to be a family man, to be around your family, to be in church with your family. It's not wrong. That's not a bad trait that Aaron has. That's a good trait. He had an isolated incident as a late teenager in college. You heard that Aaron was homeschooled. You heard that the purpose of the homeschool club was to help people socially adapt to college and the college environment. Is Aaron going to be judged for one isolated instance in his youth? An incident, no doubt, he's deeply embarrassed about, and has been since that day.
Should have used remorseful about
teenage
instead of
mistake.
embarrassed about.
You know, if there had been anything else in his background, speaking of people that didn't testify here, if there had been anything else in his background, they could have brought it to you. There are 190 prosecutors and 60-some investigators in that office could have brought it to you. You didn't hear about anything like that. They could have brought you police officers. If he had messed up anything in training, they could have brought those officers to you, and they didn't. Detective Dugan came to testify because he and Aaron developed a friendship while they were riding around that squad car together. A friendship that they've carried on after this event. Detective Dugan told you Aaron was devastated, as you would expect a Christian man to be over this situation. Deterrence? What about deterrence? One thing prosecutors like to argue at the punishment phase of a trial is that the jury has to send a message. You've got to send a message to the community. You've got to send a message that this type of thing isn't tolerated. Well, ladies and gentlemen, in this case, you have to be very, very careful of the message that your verdict sends. Because in addition to the folks here in this courtroom, this case is being followed region-wide. And the police officers that have been here and the police officers that are watching need to know that when they leave, and their families need to know, that when they leave for work in the morning, that they can follow their training and they can defend themselves. Your verdict must walk a very fine line between what you believe Aaron Dean did and what other police officers in the same or similar circumstance might do. Because this situation, this exact situation, is an extremely isolated event. It's a one-of-a-kind fact scenario. And your message needs to be tailored. If there is a message, it needs to be tailored to this event. Because the policing, the training, the methods involved, those are out of Aaron's control. You heard Judge Gallagher's in charge of the probations in this court. Judge Gallagher's in charge of the terms and conditions. And you can trust Judge Gallagher to make sure that this matter is followed up on. And make sure that he knows everything that there is to know about what's going on with this probation. And Judge Gallagher can tailor the terms and conditions. He could take it and put Aaron in jail for the weekend on the anniversary of this event so that Aaron never forgets, which he won't anyway. Judge Gallagher could order Aaron to sit down with administration from the Fort Worth Police Department, any other regional police training academies, and help them develop training curriculums so this situation never repeats itself. Aaron Dean can be an asset to law enforcement. And he can follow every other term and condition of probation that Judge Gallagher can set out for him. Punishment, rehabilitation, and deterrence do not include the term revenge.
The courtroom audio feed is coming mostly on the left channel.
Believe me, there are plenty in this community that are seeking that. But that's not the function of a jury. The function of a jury is to follow the law and set out the terms and conditions of probation that are applicable, or to make a decision that's applicable and based upon the facts of that particular case. There's no one else in this community that has heard all of the testimony and seen the demeanor of the witnesses and had your experience. This is your verdict and your verdict alone. And let's make no mistake about it, we are asking you to recommend to Judge Gallagher that Mr. Dean have his sentence probated. Because there is nothing to gain by sending this man to the penitentiary. No one can punish him more than he's already punished himself. We've talked about his need for rehabilitation. And we've talked about what exactly is it that we would deter by a penitentiary sentence here. What exactly would that be? Aaron didn't know who was on the other side of that window. As much as people want to make this a racial issue, it's not. He didn't know who was on the other side of that window. All he knew was they were armed and they were a threat. So everything that's happened from then on is of low value in deciding what the sentence should be in this case.
Okay, Richard, we have a poll out for the time it takes to render a penalty. Thanks for the suggestion.
We had to file, the law requires that a motion, an application for probation be filed pre-trial, as the judge tells you in the jury charge. That's because both sides have to have the ability to question jurors such as yourselves about your ability to follow the law and to give fair consideration to the concept of probation, which all of you said that you would do. Every one of you.
I'm not sure if he
Ladies
developed
and
the training
gentlemen,
manuals, but he might speak and have to tell his story.
Police officers and those who risk their lives on a daily basis to keep us safe, we're asking that you give that concept fair consideration here. Because this case deserves that fair consideration. Aaron deserves that fair consideration.
You have 2 minutes, Mr.
Thank you. Stand up there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Aaron Dean. This is the man that you'll be passing judgment on in a few minutes. You heard from family and friends, members of the community that know Aaron the best. He's a good man. He's a very good man. He's a very good man who finds himself in a very tough situation. And we're asking that you take into consideration all of those good qualities that you heard about. Because this man possesses all of those. Those people got up here, thank you. Those people got up here and everything they said was heartfelt. Because they know him best. Ladies and gentlemen, you have Aaron Dean in your hands. And like the prosecutor asked you to do, I hope you remember my remarks when you go back into the jury room. Because like at the first phase of the trial, the prosecutors get to close here. They get the last say. I don't know why, but that's what the law allows.
Because they have the burden of proof.
So I'm asking when
That's
you go
why.
into the jury room and start your deliberations, that you recall the things that I've said here this morning. And you take all of those into consideration. And you arrive at a just and fair verdict. Thank you very much.
Mr. Smith.
They're tag teaming again. The coffers are back.
May I please, court?
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, probation. You said you'd consider it. You never promised to give it. And I want you to remember when the probation officer was on the stand. 15 minutes a meeting.
It's quiet now, but he's going to get loud.
But that's usually just the first one. 15 minutes a meeting, once a month. 3 hours a year. That's what that comes to. That's what that comes to. When you say probation, if you're considering probation for him, what you're saying...
I did say Tag. Welcome, Tag. Good to have you here.
What happened that night, what happened in the early morning hours of October 12th, is only worth 3 hours a year for that man. Probation's not appropriate, and you know it. So let's talk about what is appropriate. Let's talk about what the defense attorney said. He's punished himself enough already. You can consider what he told you from this witness stand. When he took the stand a week ago today,
It's going to get loud.
that morning, did that seem like a man who had punished himself? Or a man that had given himself an excuse for his conduct? And the defense attorney told you this is an isolated incident. You know why it's an isolated incident? Because other officers don't act this way. Other officers don't make the same decisions that he made. That's why this is an isolated incident. It's because of him. It's because of who he is. He had a good family. He had a good education. He had a good support system. So why is he here? He's here because of who he is. I want you to watch that body cam video again. I want you to look at every decision that he made that night. I want you to look at every time he had the opportunity to save Atatiana's life, he made the wrong decision. And then I want you to look at that in the context of what Dr. Clayton said last week. Because it should all be clicking in your head now. That's who he really is. He's manipulative. The overconfidence, the narcissism. Ideas of grandiosity that he can do anything. He flaunts the rules. He runs in, just like I told you. Now when you hear that, the hard charger, the gung-ho, that's who he is. Because those are the decisions he made that night. It didn't just that split second when he pulled the trigger. Every step he made towards that backyard was who he is. And his personality traits and what he can't change. So that's why we're here. It's because of him is why you're sitting in these chairs. You're judging him for what he did. You're holding him accountable for the choices he made. And now, you do have to ask yourself, what is Atatiana's life worth? What are you going to tell her family when this is over? Atatiana, she'll never be married. She'll never have a family.
I can explain why he said 2 to 20. She'll do that when this is over. Or 2 to 10.
Her mother lived longer than her. Mom living longer than a child. At 28 years old, she died. And this wasn't some tragic accident. He's the one that set everything in motion. Her sisters, her brother, Zayd and Zion, they'll never hug her again. You saw the defendant's sister touch her hand as she left the stand. That close human contact of support. A touch that any one of her family would give anything for to have one more opportunity to experience. But they can't. Not because of anything that they've done, not because of anything that Atatiana done, but solely because of the decisions that he made on October 12, 2019. And that's why he's sitting in that seat. And that's why you're making this decision. So what is her life worth? What are you going to say to them? What are you going to say to this community? She was in her home. I've said this before, but that's because it's so important. Where else? Where else should you feel safe? Not in your own home. She didn't ask for this. Her family didn't ask for this. It was him. So what is her life worth? We've talked about who the defendant really is. We've talked about Dr. Clayton. And we've talked about Atatiana. This person, the defense, all they want to talk about is the defendant. This is the person that lost her life. This is the family that lost a loved one. This is two nephews who lost an aunt, two sisters who lost a sister, and a brother who lost a sister, and a mother who buried a daughter. A woman who went to college. She wanted to be a doctor. She wanted to contribute to society. And we've all of us, you included, have been robbed by the defendant taking her from us.
As soon as he's done, we'll end the poll.
Is that worth
So
15
get your votes in
minutes a
now.
month? 3 hours a year? Is that really what you're going to tell this family? That that's what this is worth? 15 minutes a month? It's not. And you know it's not appropriate. The defense attorney said a tragedy that'll never be changed. He had so many opportunities to make other decisions so that we wouldn't be here. And yet he didn't. He continued to push forward because that's who he is. His overconfidence, his personality traits. And we go back to Dr. Clayton because it's so important. And if someone back there starts talking about his family and the good person he is, and I have no issues with his family. It's about him. That's what you need to direct him back to. It's about him. Who is he? Dr. Clayton told you. And the best evidence to show you, to look into his soul, to tell you who he really was, who he really is as a person, and why Dr. Clayton was spot on in his evaluation of this defendant was whenever he finally got into that room. And take this back and watch it again. Finally got back into that room, and Atatiana was taking her last breaths on the floor in front of her nephew, gasping for air, struggling to live, and he stood over her, lorded over her, providing no aid, not attempting to do anything, only looking for that gun to give himself yet another excuse for his behavior.
You have 10 minutes, Mr. Smith.
That's his heart. That's who he is. And she deserved better. She deserved better from that defendant. And she deserves a sentence from you. Don't just stand there and watch this happen. Take action. Atatiana deserves it. Give him the maximum. That's what her life is worth. Give him the 20 years. Thank you.
He ended early. He said 10 minutes.
Okay. Retire to your jury room. If you need anything, let me know.
Okay, so I'm going to end the poll here. We're going to, well, the jury deliberates. This is what we think they're going to take. Results come in 1 to 2 hours, 41%. 2 to 4 hours, 25%. Less than 1 hour was 24%. And over 4 hours, 8%. So the majority of us are thinking it's going to be under 4 hours. But probably more than one.
We'll be in recess, everybody. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I can't tell if someone's laughing or crying there in the background. Okay, so Mr. Dean is in custody. We're going to sit here and watch. I'm going to keep the audio coming in from channel 2 here, just in case there's a hot mic, which looks like they just killed it, so we're not going to get that. Okay, let's see. Are we going to pull the final sentence? Well, we can, but I want to address that just a little bit. The judge did say, at least I believe he said, let's see. I didn't record that part, so I can't speed back into where we are. I just recorded from the necklace on, basically. Okay. I believe he said 2 to 10 if there's probation, because if they can't, I guess they can't decide whether or not it's part time served or part probation. It's either all time served or all probation. But if it's 2 to 10 years, anything more than 10 years would be when he gets probation anyway on good behavior, right? So if he gets a 20-year sentence, he has to serve half of it, and then he's open for parole. And so I think that's why I said 2 to 10 if they say probation. Did I make that clear, or did I muddy the waters there for people? Abby says, I don't think it'll take long. It should be pretty quick. Hey, Miss Tian, welcome. We do have a pretty respectful group here. I know there are a couple people that have some strong opinions. We try to allow everything as long as it's kept civil. We try to make it a place where we can have conversation and not attack. So hopefully, if there is some problems, we'll try to weed those out and keep it clean in here. But you're welcome, and thanks for being here. Let's see, does the sentence need to be unanimous? I believe they do have to. Yes. Yep. Matthew beat me to it. Yes, the jury must be unanimous in their sentence. Air Force USA, welcome. This group is great. They're amazing. It's what makes this channel so amazing is the people in chat. Appreciate you all being here. Would not be the same without you. I do feel that that if the sentence is any less than 20 years, if the sentence is any less than maximum, we will probably see some sort of demonstration of some sort, whether it's inside the courtroom or outside the courtroom when that is announced. But I think that's predictable in that front. Let's see, this happened in 2019. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up on all the chat we've had going on here. Bite Me says, love being here. I love that you're here. It's awesome. Thank you so much. And Bite Me, I will get you that recommendation for a metal detector. Shoot me another text on the burner phone if you can, Bite Me. You've got the number, right? Is there let's see, let me show you something while we get to this. We talked about Mr. Matta, Manuel Matta, and his appearance.
Like nowhere in that jury charge, they just sit back there, those 12 jurors. Does it say anything?
I wanted to pull this up. This is these are the charges Mr. Matta was given relating to this offense of him appearing in court. You know, the whole bond issue. So just want to pull this up and see. We'll read what they are here together. Okay, so Manuel Matta gives his information. Active bookings, the charge. He has a number of them here. So it looks like the first one is criminal trespass. These are all, the arrest date is all the 16th. Interfering with public duties, another interfering with public duties, resisting arrest, search, or transport. A third interfering with public duties, resist arrest, search, or transport, and a fourth interfering with public duties. So mostly the interfering with public duties is what seems to have got him, but a little bit of criminal trespass. I wonder if he had instructions to not be there, if he was ordered not to be there, and that's why they got him with the trespass. Anyway, that's what came out. He's currently shows that he is in custody in Tarrant County. The Tarrant County Corrections Center. Did a quick little inmate search there. I don't know why. Oh, sorry. I'm looking at the wrong screen, making you guys bounce around here. Okay. There we go. All right, so I'm not sure if he's a sovereign citizen, Ernest. I really think he may not be, because he is like a strong constitutionalist. He's strong on his First Amendment, type situation. Arkansas Magnet Fisher says, recovery addict, what kind of metal detector do you have? I have 5, but one of them is a piece of junk. I have my favorite would probably be the Equinox 800 made by MindLab. I also have a XP ORX, which is a very lightweight, collapsible metal detector that is, super easy to transport. And I have a Technetics Patriot and a Simplex by Nokta Macro. Not as very good with the Simplex, I have to admit. It's tough for me to get dialed in. Yeah, Lindsay, I saw that as well. The attorney did mention that somebody, probably one of his sources, meaning an undercover officer, overheard him saying, "I could get arrested just being here," or something along those lines. So he seemed to, according to that statement, know that it wasn't going to end well for him. Matthew has a new client. Not sure if he's I don't think Matthew's representative. Thank you, Bite Man. I saw the text come in. I'll respond to you and get you some information on that. More charges equals more publicity for his channel. I was on a couple live YouTube channels this weekend, and they were raising money for Mata. Yeah, there's a large group of viewers, supporters that support those channels. I know we've got some here. I got some subscribers to this channel after posting that video. And those individuals have, 500,000 subscribers on their channel where they just handle, First Amendment audit type videos. Did you ask him about his car warranty? No. Has Ola been accidentally muted, mods? She DM'd me saying she could no longer see her comments. Ola, what happened? I'll check. You should not be muted. I think she had an autocorrect issue a while back. Let me see if I can scroll up and see where Ola is. I don't think. Ola, if you're muted, send me a text on the burner phone, and I'll make sure we get you cleared up and back here. I didn't see anything from you that would make you be muted, so it might have been accidental if it happened, and it does happen. We've got a lot of people in chat, so. Katrina says, please hit the like and subscribe while you're here. We are going to have a lot of fun tomorrow, especially if you have been following or want to follow the Sarah Boone suitcase murder case. Tomorrow is the day. We've got, not only do we have a hearing where we get to find out for sure if the trial is going to proceed in January as is scheduled, we also get to find out if maybe Sarah gets her 7th public defender. We're going to go back and look at some of the stuff that's already in the books, in the record for this case, as far as communications back and forth, letters from Sarah Boone to the attorney as well as to the judge. And many documents, some of the black marks on the attorney's record as well, her current attorney. We're going to do all that tomorrow and catch everybody up. So let's see. Matthew Harris says, our last big video was actually a First Amendment audit video. Yep, they're very popular. Matthew, do you choose who you represent, or are they assigned to you? I believe he chooses, or I don't think you're on the rotation for public defenders, right? A soft-sit auditor sounds absolutely hilarious, especially if they represent themselves in court. I mean, that would be like the best of all the worlds. Get to choose currently. I'm not on any court-appointed lists. All right. What time will be on tomorrow? Bite me. We're going to start at 9 a.m. tomorrow with the Sarah Boone, and then basically we'll be covering some of the background, the stories, why she has so many defenders. What we've got the reason on each one is we can step through why they were released for most of them. Some of them we don't have the details on, but we're going to go through all those documents. We're going to go through her letters, and then we're going to, as soon as the court case, the live feed comes in from Florida, we're going to go ahead and bring that to you as well, so we can have the hearing and see what's happening, because it'll be interesting. I believe we're going to hear from Sarah Boone tomorrow. I really do. I think even though she has representation, some of the stuff that she's presented to the judge may make it so that he will want to address her, even if it's just briefly about a couple matters. So Sarah Boone's coming up. That's exciting. We've been waiting for that for a long time. Let's see. Can't wait for Sarah Boone Trail. It's going to be very interesting. She might represent herself. I don't think she will. Arkansas, I don't think she's going to go that far. I think she sort of toyed with that idea, saying, hey, I have to do everything myself here. Why don't I have an attorney that's helping me? Well, I was listening actually to Uncivil Law. Good gentleman, a legal lawyer on YouTube. They're all legal lawyers, but a YouTube lawyer. He's out of Texas as well right now. And he was talking and saying, when you hire a dentist to do dental work for you, you don't tell them how to do their job, right? You say, hey, I've got this issue in my mouth, a toothache, can you fix it? And the dentist will do, they'll do the analysis, they'll do an inspection, they might do some x-rays, they'll be like, okay, this is either going to be a root canal, or we're going to pull the tooth, or, this is just a cavity, we're going to drill it and fill it. They've got all these choices available to them. And then they're going to, obviously you're going to give the go-ahead, it's your mouth, but how they do their job is really up to the professional. And when it comes to a lawyer, it's the same. They are a professional doing their job, and they're hired to represent you. They're not a sock puppet that you can provide the script and the text for to make them say exactly what you want. That's not how it works. Let's see. Bite Me says Central Time. No, 9 a.m. We're going to go on Eastern Time tomorrow for Sarah Boone. Do we have any updates on Darrell Brooks? Grumpy Cat, not yet. He's sort of just getting ready for his next appearance up in Wisconsin on some of those other cases where he does have representation. I know he's also got some appeals he keeps filing, but I haven't heard of anything really big coming up yet. Let's see, I can't imagine someone getting a suitcase, but maybe after 2 bottles of wine, claustrophobia may hold me back. Yeah, you would have to use the bottle of wine on top of my head to get me in a suitcase. I would not do that. Nope, too small. Is that a legal lawyer? As opposed to all the other ones, the illegal lawyers. Those are the ones you have to steer clear of. I volunteered to search for Ola. She is missing. She's missing. Let me see if I can... I'm going to check to see if somehow she got on the naughty list. Sometimes it's hard to do during a live stream, but Ola, we want you back. Let's see what we got here. Looking for where I can find that. Community settings, there we are. Ola, I'm not seeing you. Here's what I'd suggest, Ola. It might be a YouTube issue. You're not on the naughty list. I'm looking at it. You're not on the list. What you can do is try to refresh your page, like close out YouTube and come back. And when you come back, make sure you like the stream, and see if that works a little bit better for you. She's not blocked. She's not on the blocked list. Now, there's no requirement that a court ever take court appointments. Why would they do it? I mean, Matthew, is it like is there a professional expectation that you do so many hours of pro bono work per year? Is that a requirement? Maybe if you're with a firm, do they require some of their people to do that just for, appearances type thing? I mean, like public appearances, meaning how the firm is viewed. Wonder if she accidentally blocked the channel. I think she's able to see us. Ola, if you're trying everything and it's not working, I would suggest maybe logging out of YouTube, so you're just like a anonymous user, and then try to connect to the channel and see if you can see that way, or maybe make a new account. I know that's a big effort, but there might be an issue on it. Okay, someone in my house is freezing cold because they've turned the heater up to like 110 degrees, and this room has all vents. It's just I'm roasting in here. I'm almost baked. Matthew says, I like to take court-appointed cases sometimes just to give back to the community and sometimes to put the state in check. Come in and raise hell, and that some are afraid to. Ola, call the burner phone. Welfare check. Yeah, do that. Send me a quick text. Let's see, Ola. I got one from Bite Me. I don't have one from Ola recently. Okay. I'm in the burner room. I might have to step away and get the air conditioner fixed. I think I can connect to it. The burner phone has many uses, and one of them is to remotely control my heating. And surprise, surprise, Siri just suggested that I open the heating app right now because it knows how hot I am. Okay. I look pretty shiny. I'm sweating bullets in here. It's super hot. Okay, give me 2 seconds. We're going to get a little song going. Which song are we going to have? We're going to have the cat one. We're going to have the cat song. I'm going to get this heat thing fixed, and I'll be right back. Okay, I turned the heat down. Bite Me says, love the music. Yeehaw! This is the closest I have to Texas type music. I don't have much twang, and this isn't really the country. But let's see. Heated blanket saved my electric bills. I kept my house at 65 and heated blanket on high. Bite Me says, I'm freezing my office. It's raining 44 degrees here in Hammond, Louisiana. It's going to be a cold one. We're going to have to get Weather Watch on the channel. As a matter of fact, let me get things set up in case he wants to. Let's see here. Got to get rid of Mr. Mata off my screen here. We're getting closer. Arkansas says, thank you to all the people who subbed me. I appreciate that. Yeah, if you're interested, I know I do metal detecting a lot. We talk about that quite a bit. But Arkansas Magnet Fisher and Metal Detecting does magnet fishing, as his name says. And he has a YouTube channel where you can go and watch that. If you're interested in metal detecting, you will be interested in magnet fishing. It's a very similar mindset that it takes to do both hobbies. Very different, and a lot of fun. So you'll get hooked on those. They're really great. I'm glad you can show some support there to him. Hope there isn't a problem with your furnace. No, it's working overtime. It's doing great. I think it actually did just stop blowing hot air though, so that's good. What time will we be here tomorrow? Bite Me. I'm going to be here at 9 a.m. Eastern time for a regular morning show. We do that every morning, but we're going to stay here on this stream here and just try to get the sentence here as soon as the deliberation's over. It's 8 degrees today. My heat hasn't kicked off yet. I'm going to start the fireplace, otherwise the utility bill will be stupid high. I'll tell you, I got a bill. In my town, they do combined billing. So you pay for your electricity and your water on the same bill. Gas is a separate company, but they sent me a bill, and normally the bill comes in, and I've got a big family, and the shower's always running. You've got 6 kids. There's always somebody who's taking a shower or running water in the sink and dishes and laundry and everything else, and so we use a lot of water, and so the bill even during the summertime can come back and be $600 for combined for all those. Well, it comes in and it's like I forget, it was like $2,400 for a month. And it said that I had used somewhere like 60,000 gallons of water that month, which if I did my math correctly, a semi-truck, one of those big tanker trucks that hauls liquids around on the freeway, they hold 40,000 gallons. So 60,000 gallons, that's like I filled an Olympic-sized pool type thing. there was no way I used that much. And so we did some research and found out we actually had a broken line, just our side of the meter. And it was just running into the ground. We were just replenishing the aquifer single-handedly. And so that was fun. I got to replace all my my main line into my house. I want to do magnet fishing too. Bite me, it's amazing. I've actually been out when with a couple big YouTubers have been doing that. Let's see, Okie Dokie Artichoke, thank you. I have hot flashes to keep me warm. Lucky. Let's see here. Yes, our water, electric, and garbage are all on the same bill. I can't complain though. Don't say anything. But when we bought this house, it came with 2 garbage cans, and I think I only pay for 1. But we have 2, which is useful, especially like weeks of Christmas when there's a fair amount of garbage that's generated during that time. We try to do as minimal as possible, but sometimes 1 can is not quite enough for a family of 8. Magnet ice fishing, maybe. It's more about the experience of the results. Yeah, magnet ice fishing would be a little tough. You've got to drill a hole directly over the object. That would be difficult. Let's see. Corpus Christi, 59. Yeah, you can't complain, Karina. You can't complain at 59. The rest of us that are still freezing, we're not going to take it. No complaints from all you people in hot weather. Have been on calls. What did I miss, says Maureen? Well, the jury's out deliberating right now. They've been out for a little bit, probably less than half an hour. But they're determining what the sentence is. It could be 2 to 10 years with in probation or up to 20 incarcerated. 2 to 20. A minimum of 2, whatever it is. Whether it's probation or incarceration, it's going to be a minimum of 2 years. My first thought, he's got a leak. Coffee Mom, what I was frustrated about is the city says, when I called them about it, they said, yeah, we can tell when your water's running. Meaning, like, we've got our system set up so that each individual house, we can always monitor. I'm like, so you knew as soon as the pipe burst, really. Your system, because I did this. I did monitoring for the Department of Defense. And if you've got a computerized system, you can monitor. And as soon as somebody's pipe bursts and it's being used at a constant rate for a duration that's longer than normal, it would send up a flag. Like day 1, you could have a flag. And they could have said, send a call. They could have sent somebody over, anything. But no, they waited the whole month and just let me just pay all that. I did not have to pay the whole bill, MB, because a large portion of the bill was the charge for the sewer for using that much water. And they calculate your sewer fee based on how much water you use, assuming that you use water and then it then goes into the sewer. So that's a big portion of the bill. It's cost more than the water. And because I could prove that I had a break in the line and it didn't go into the sewer system, they actually cut off all but the water charge. So I didn't have to pay that big sewer part of the bill. It saved me, $1,200, $1,500. Adam says, reported. For the garbage can, you turned me in. Great. Now I'm going to have to pay the extra $3 a month. Let's see, these Pike County, what's up with Pike? Let's see. Pike County is wild right now. Let me see if we can see what's happening with Pike really quickly. Let's see, I'm going to take that on the other camera. Give me a second. We'll pop in on Pike just a little briefly and hear what's happening. They've got sentencing today, right? That's what we're doing. Let's see. Sorry, it takes me a minute to get it pulled up here. It's the Wagner trial. Let's see. We're going to jump right in on this one. I'm not getting any audio here. Why no audio?
George Wagner and the rest of your family are. All I want is my baby girl, Hannah Hazel, and that I will never have. I only agreed to the state because I want all these older families to get justice on earth while they're still here because of the fact that Gary's dad, Dana's dad, and my dad didn't get their justice while on this earth. This is the most monstrous act. Your cousin said it the best. That
This lady
any family
has a lot of passion in her heart. She's struggling to say the words, but you can tell she's angry.
And George Wagner IV, what have you won? What have you won after all you've done? Thank you to everyone that worked on this case.
Wow.
A special thanks to the jury for seeing the devils that George Wagner IV is. Thank you, John, Ryan, Alan, Angie, Rob, Andy, Cindy, and Amy for all that you have done for my baby girl. And I thank you, Judge. And I pray, Judge Derry, that you see the true devil that George Wagner IV really is and make him suffer with life in prison. Thank you.
So these victim impact statements are coming before the sentence. There's the defendant right there. He's been wearing a vest throughout trial.
She's the daughter of Kenneth Irving.
Donna, we just popped in while we're waiting for the jury to decide Aaron Dean's fate. They've deliberated for about 27 minutes now. We popped in on the Pike County case because they have the victim impact statements right now, which will be followed by sentencing. So it just gives us something to listen to a little bit while we get
Here
going.
today, I know I should feel for peace. I should have peace because you have been found guilty on all 22 counts. I should feel relief that justice is being served. But there is no real justice, and peace is not a feeling I have. Hannah Mae was my peace, and because of you and your family, she is gone. 8 lives taken and so many more traumatized by the horrendous acts committed by the Wagner family. For months, I was riddled with questions of who and why. I tried to find solace in the belief that most of my family members died instantly from being shot in the head. Unfortunately, that was not true. When signing for my father's lifeless body, the coroner stated my father died within minutes of being shot. Minutes, not seconds. So now I'm left wondering for how long did he remain conscious? Did he feel the pain? How long was he conscious for, knowing his death was imminent and there was nothing he could do? What went through his mind in those moments that I imagine felt like hours as he died alone? What about Hannah Mae as she lay next to her nursing infant? Did she die in fear, not knowing what would happen to her child? How long did she lie there helplessly, knowing she could do nothing to protect her infant from the evil that stormed through her home that night? The questions were accompanied by nightmares night after night. Lack of sleep drove me crazy. I thought I could not escape it. Every time I closed my eyes, I was taken back to that horrific moment I found out that my family was murdered and what I believed they went through. Screaming out in horror for Hannah to
This is the
wake
Wagner
up
case.
and run as her attacker approaches, but nothing I done changed the outcome. Unfortunately, when I woke, I still could not escape the terror. It was and is still real. It wasn't just another terrifying dream. Sons and daughters left without their mothers and fathers, a mother grieving her son, a daughter-in-law, and her grandkids. Some whose lives was just beginning, one as young as 16 years old. I begged for anything to stop the never-ending pain and grief, to the point I nearly ended my own life in December of 2017. In 2018, I had my daughter. It should have been a moment filled with nothing but joy. Instead, it was filled with heartache, knowing my father would never hold my daughter. My daughter frequently asked to see Papa Kenya, a man she never got to meet. I am burdened with telling her she can't, and naturally she asks why. She sees me cry and holds on to me because I have no words to offer other than Papa Kenny lies with Jesus. She will never know his unconditional love. She will never get to hold his rough but gentle hands. She'll never get to experience how Papa Kenny's strong embrace made the world melt away and made everything better.
Yeah, I'd be
Now,
surprised
as I plan for my
if he doesn't
wedding,
get life
I
in
dread
prison.
walking down the aisle because my father will not be walking with me or handing me over as a father should. I won't look over to the bridesmaids and see Hannah Mae as my maid of honor. I won't see Frankie in the crowd making some sort of commotion to make me laugh and calm my nerves. Christopher won't be there as the life of the party making a scene as his usual goofy self. Furthermore, I'm reminded that Hannah won't be there for her daughter's first heartbreak to comfort them. She won't be there to teach them and help them grow into the beautiful women they will be. Hannah will not be there to prepare them for their big days. She couldn't even be there for her youngest daughter's first steps. Frankie will not be there to teach his boys how to be men. He won't be there to share knowledge and prepare them for the hardships of the world. You see, 8 lives were taken in the most brutal of ways, but many more lives were stolen. You took moments that were no more yours to take than the lives you and your family took. I am sorry you never got to know the unconditional love of a mother and father, but it does not excuse your participation in the grim murders your family committed as a whole. You yourself stated anyone who committed such a horrendous crime should be punished with death. My family and I are not asking for your demise, but I do ask that you receive the max penalty. It is not justice, but I believe in my heart it is the closest we can get.
So the jury's coming back already? I'm watching the feed right now. As soon as it comes back, I'll take it. We're just going to stick with Pike just until that happens. Let's see here.
Right, she'll be there. Sorry. Okay. She is the mother of Brentley and.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor.
I'll tell you, we can look at Dean, but we're just getting placeholders for him. I'm not seeing anybody come up live yet. Let's see with who's saying they're back yet? That was super fast. I mean, that was half an hour they've been out. Who says we're back to Dean? I'm trying to see who's got that. I'm not seeing it. Where are we? Just woke up, says Andy, and here's where we are. We're waiting for the jury to come back with the Texas versus Aaron Dean trial. The jury has listened to all the evidence of the sentencing phase of the trial and now have to deliberate and come to a conclusion as to what his sentence will be, where they can choose between 2 and 10 years probation or 2 to 20 years of incarceration. They took 13 hours to decide that he was guilty of manslaughter, which is a second-degree felony, and so now we're waiting for the jury to come back here. We heard somebody said in chat, I'm not sure if it was a joke or what, they said the jury's coming back, but I'm not seeing that from any of my sources. Yes, Matthew Harris and Weatherwatch are going to meet up in person and say hi to each other and maybe submit a picture. Send me a picture so we can verify that you two are not the same person. Let's see. I'm not seeing the jury back. I'm not seeing Ola either. She might be struggling with something on the YouTube end. Little miss. Douglas sent some pictures to the burner phone. That was the other day, right? I didn't see any this morning. Did they just come in? see, Douglas. Yeah, amazing pictures. Your backyard pictures. Looks like you're on the coast. Douglas, are you on the West Coast? Give us Ola back. I don't know what happened to Ola. If she can hear us, please reach out to me on the burner phone. Send me a text or something. Let's see. We'll get this sorted out. We need you back. It's not the same without you, Ola. MB, this Pike County trial is just bizarre. I mean, it says movie all over it, but this is just, it was crazy. So Douglas, yes, Oregon coast, 300 yards from the Pacific. Douglas, that is amazing, amazing property there. I'll be doing some detecting on the beach soon. Is what the last thing I heard from you. That would be amazing. We'll share some pictures here when we get a chance here, probably on Saturday. Let's see, Saturday's Christmas Eve, huh? I'm not sure if I can do a Christmas Eve show. We've got family things to do. So maybe as we get closer to the holiday, as we get closer to Christmas, I believe more courts are going to be taking a break. We're probably about midweek. It's about the last we'll see any real action in the courts. Because I don't know any judge who wants to drag a jury in there on Christmas Adam, the day before Christmas Eve. Does Ola have the number for the burner phone? It's been up on the screen a number of times. If you don't have it, I can go ahead and post it here for you briefly. I've got a special picture I can show. Right here, let me go ahead and put that up. To give you instructions on how to call the burner phone. And the burner phone is available for anyone who wants to call and leave a message, send a text, send a picture. If you send me something, there's a good chance if it's appropriate and pertinent to whatever we're talking about, we'll share it on the air or at least in one of our live streams. But you can go ahead and give that a call anytime, day or night. And it'll go straight to voicemail unless you're one of the few, the chosen, the proven who have access to actually to the call forwarding feature on the burner phone, which will go straight to me. Speaking of straight to me, JB, for those of you who didn't know, JB up in Canada, I was playing with the burner phone, had accidentally turned off the do not disturb feature for everyone. So for a brief moment, anyone who called would have directly reached me. And that was the moment that JB chose to call from Canada and connect with me late last night and just tell me how things are going up there and say hi to all of you. He wanted to reach out to all you addicts and just say thank you and how much fun he has on the channel, how much he loves it, how much he's learning about the internet, how his son's helped him out to get on our live streams whenever possible. So, the chosen seems like a cult. We'll have to have a different name for them, different name than the chosen. Let's see. All right, so jury's still deliberating according to Law and Crime. They're not coming back. The counter's still going. They're showing 40 minutes have elapsed since they started, about 10:56 a.m. So we can go back to Pike. Do you want to hear a little bit more of Pike?
From graduation till her death, I babysat Frankie, Hannah, and little Chris from the time they was born until they was old enough to stay by themselves. Even after they was old enough to look after themselves, I would still see them daily. That's why I refer to them as my babies. Then comes the morning of April 22nd, 2016, where all of our lives changed forever and will never be the same again. Not one, not two, but 8 family members were taken away from us. It was like the bottom fell out of my soul. Hundreds of people around me, but I felt like I walked this world alone. Weeks of being in denial, even after seeing them laying there in their coffins, looking at them saying, that's not my loved ones, they look nothing like them. Their faces so unrecognizable. Convincing myself they were just hiding for something and they was coming back home to us as soon as it was over. But they never came home. The Manly rodents and gillies have missed out on so much due to the rodents being taken from us way too soon. So many holidays, birthdays, weddings, births, big celebrations were taken from us.
I believe there were multiple people who are allegedly participated in the killing, but each one is charged with all the crimes that happened in that spree.
Her grandchildren, her son-in-law, our friends Kenneth and Gary, but now she also walks this world without her husband Leonard, who just couldn't handle the pain any longer. To this day, my husband starts screaming, sis, in his sleep. It's the only thing he called Dana. My oldest son, who's a firefighter, says he has seen some gruesome things as a firefighter, but nothing will ever compare to seeing Frankie and Hannah laying there and all that blood. You see, Frankie wasn't only his cousin, that was his best friend.
Texas does victim impact statements after the sentencing.
I watched my youngest son walk across the stage at his high school graduation with a picture of Hannah Mae pinned on his gown with a cap and tassel, so Hannah Mae could graduate with him like she was intended to do. Within the group of her fellow classmates sat an empty chair with Hannah's picture and her cap and her gown. My stepson was never afraid of the dark. He is now 15 years old and still won't go outside by himself after dark. He says they came in the dark and took them all away. Before that night, he was never afraid. My grandchildren will never meet their Aunt Dana, their Uncle Chris, their Uncle Kenneth, cousins Frankie, Hazel, Hannah, little Chris, or Gary. There's still many more family members that are missing out on the family lives because the Wagners took upon themselves to be the judge and the jury.
Carol, you're right. I believe even if, because of the level of crime that was committed, even if you were just the getaway driver, you could still be charged with all these same crimes in this case.
But right now, I can't follow that rule. The Wagners have taken so much from us that I just can't forgive right now. I don't know I ever will. And for that reason, I hope George Wagner spends the rest of his life in prison without seeing your loved ones for the rest of your life, just like you made sure we wouldn't see ours. I hope you feel the loneliness and the emptiness that we feel for the rest of your life. And I have one last wish for you, George. Since you and your family made sure you were the last ones to see our family alive, I hope every night when you close your eyes, you see them 8 faces, and I hope they haunt you for the rest of your life.
Some powerful statements here. This was a rough trial to watch. It progressed very slowly. Roxy, I've got a. Oops, I don't know why the camera just got kicked. Somebody probably unplugged it. Roxy, Manuel Mata is as a local to the Fort Worth area. He's got a YouTube channel. He does a lot of audit type videos, First Amendment audits, monitoring law enforcement, government officials, things like that. He's not afraid to flirt with that line, which at times he's crossed and has a few convictions and some pending cases. If you go back on my channel, look at I posted a video the other day of the incident that occurred in this courtroom with Aaron Dean, where the defense called him up as a witness to have him be sworn in as a witness, and he sort of refused. The interaction there, I put it all there. Make sure you turn on the closed captioning, because that will show you everything that really happened, and sometimes it's hard to hear, but I've got all the words typed out there on the screen for you if you turn on the closed captioning. Let's see. Was the defense these guys received for killing 8 people? Like, how did they even try to justify this? Tom, I did not stick around for all of this. The video and the audio in this trial were poor as well. There was just a single, for all the cables you see in the background, if we look at this again,
nothing to do with
for all the cables in the background,
you're a coward,
we had very little video and audio.
Oxygen you're wasting right now. Sadly, with the death penalty off the table, I can only hope that they lock you up for the rest of your miserable life. I can't believe you have the audacity to sit there and act like you didn't do this. It disgusts me that you're allowed to exist. It disgusts me that you're allowed to breathe the same air that I am breathing. That's enough about you, because this day is not about you. This day is about my family and the people you have hurt and traumatized. This day is about Chris Jr., who was only 16 years old, and because of you and your family, he will forever be 16 years old. Today is about Hannah Mae, who was only 19 years old. Frankie and Hannah Gilly, who will never get to watch their children grow up.
Okay,
Neither will you.
I don't want to talk over these family
Your
statements because
child
they're
will
powerful.
remember nothing about you except that you're a monster.
Let's
and a
hear the
murderer.
rest of this one.
They were just babies and had hardly started their lives. Now, we will never know who they may have become. This day isn't about you. This day is about my sister, Dana Roden, and getting justice for her and her family. You only murdered Chris Roden and Gary Roden and Kenneth Roden because you are a coward and you know they would retaliate. They were all completely innocent and hadn't done anything to you or your family. There's a special place in hell for you and your entire family. I hope your life is long and miserable. I hope you think of my family and what you have done every day for the rest of your miserable existence. Thank you.
Okay, so those are continuing. Those are the Pike County murders. As he's been found guilty on all the charges, that life in prison, it seems to be the only possible solution. I don't think he'll get any less. Greg says, I would classify Mata as an agitator, not an auditor. Does a little of both. He flirts with that line, and he's a little, I would say he's rough. He's not like the polished auditor type. I think he probably experienced what he thought was injustice first, and then decided to shed light on it. So it is a little rough watching him, and his language isn't quite polished and professional, but he's quite real that way. But yeah, so I think under the events of the trial in Aaron Dean, I think in that case he's sort of being accused of being an agitator, not an auditor. Okay. Let's see. He has First Amendment rights. I agree, Andy. He absolutely does. Those First Amendment rights aren't just for people who say things that we like. Even if they say things we don't like, they should have that right. And a lot of times, them having that right is what allows us to also say the things that they would disagree with. That First Amendment is important. That's why it's first. And the second's there to back up the first, right? Given the state of the corporate media, people like Mata are the closest we have to a free press, right? And there are a couple people like that do this. Some of them have gotten famous and since moved on to professional settings instead of just sort of like freelance jobs. Like I think Tim Pool, I think, was one of them as well. Very much just a freelance cameraman who would go to incidents and shine light on what was happening. I think he's gone somewhat political since then. But isn't there a new trial starting today? Which one are you thinking of, Lil Miss? Because we've got a couple ending. Tomorrow we've got a hearing for Sarah Boone, and we're going to cover that on the 20th as well as some background. Keeping an eye on Twitter as well, just making sure nothing's happening. So deliberation, they started at about an hour ago. So for those who thought it was less than an hour, you're running out of minutes. Yeah, Lil Miss, if there's something that's starting this week, let me know. I'd be especially interested in knowing what dates the trial's going to continue, because a lot of judges are going to try to give juries off, the time around Christmas. I mean, it's bad enough that you have to just take a break in life, but if you have to interrupt your family's Christmas celebration so you can sit on a jury, that's no bueno. so still nothing. We can go back to Pike. Alex Murdaugh's in January. That's going to be fascinating. Watching the last hearing was incredible. Proud Boys jury selection starts today. Is the jury selection going to be televised? Toxic? I hesitate to follow the Proud Boys one just because it brings in a very strong element of political spin from one side or the other, which we try to stay clear of. We like to have non-political battles here in chat, just because YouTube chat's probably the least effective venue for political discussions. Very important discussions, but it's just not very effective. Judges and attorneys want to be home with their families for Christmas. But judges and attorneys get paid a lot more than jury members do. So I think about the jury members because they're the ones that are really missing out. Can the jury be hung on a sentence? Golden Girl, that's a great question maybe for Matthew. If they hang on a sentence, they need to be unanimous. If they hang, would there still be an Allen charge in this case? And then what are the options at this point? I don't think they'll hang. I think the likelihood is so small. I think it would be much easier for a juror to compromise on their position in this phase of the trial than on the actual sentence, which they were able to agree on, or than on the verdict, which they were able to agree on. Federal court, no cameras. Yep, no cameras for federal. That makes sense. I wish they did. I wish we had cameras in the Supreme Court. I wanted to hear the deliberations there. I sound stuffier than usual. Yes, I am. I sound stuffier. I'm stuffed up for some reason. Hopefully it's not going to get any worse because tomorrow's a big day. Spicy pickles to clear the head. I ate all my spicy pickles. I have the pickle juice left over. Maybe I'll try that, but we'll see. Can we do a poll on how much time he will do? I can put one together. Give me just a second. Let's get some music going. Okay, so it took a little longer than I thought to put that little question together. I think I spelled everything right. I put 3 options up there. Our options are, let's see. Now I can't see it. I'm the only one that can't see the poll right now, apparently. It could be a mistrial if they deadlock on the sentence. Would there be an Allen charge there as well? there guidelines for the jury to follow a system to determine the number of years? No, I think the guidelines are the parameters that they have to rule on, the 2 to 20, and they get to decide what's appropriate for this case. I think Google timed her out. Did she say something? I don't think Ola said anything that was bad. I really don't. But this is nifty music. Yeah, this is from YouTube, courtesy of YouTube, from their music library. I see no poll, says Charlie. It's out there right now. If you don't see it, it might be your device. Some devices, for some reason, just doesn't show up. I don't know why. The victim statements are continuing here on the Pike trial here. Gonna bring some of their audio in right now.
To spend the rest of his life in prison. This man and his family has confined our family to our own personal hell that we have to fight to get through every day. So it's only just that George is confined to a prison cell for the rest of his life. George, I hope that my family haunts your dreams at night just like they do ours. I also hope there are days where you miss your family and son so much you literally feel like you could die from the pain, because that is what our family deals with. I pray, George, that this court and the prison you are sent to show you the same mercy that you showed my family. The day you take your last breath, you will face your Maker, and I pray they have no mercy on your soul. But on that day, I will finally have a little bit of peace.
Eagles pray. I'll look. I'll see if I can find Ola. I haven't seen anything hidden in chat or burner phone or anything. So.
My name is Tony Roden. I come here today to talk about my family and the memories that I have of them. First of all,
we're watching the victim impact statements from the Pike trial.
To do so as a victim. I lost two brothers, Chris Roden Sr., Kenneth Roden. I also lost a niece, Hannah Roden. I also lost two nephews, Frankie Roden, Chris Roden Jr. I also lost a cousin, Gary Roden. I also lost a sister-in-law, Dana Roden Manley. I also lost my nephew Frankie's fiancee, Hannah Hazel Gill. My brother Chris, my mom's son. As a boy,
I know what you're talking about, Toxic.
he always had a lot of questions, just about things like, Tony, why does the chicken have two legs? Or Tony, why does the water flow that way? He loved playing in the creek. When in the creek, we would get up, Chris and I and my other brothers, Stephen and Kenneth, would build small toy boats. We'd use whatever we could find. And we'd have boat races.
I'm going to go ahead and end the poll so we can all see the results.
Sometimes, 3 of them, 1 of me. We would take 5-gallon buckets and get behind skunks that was in our garden.
Oh my goodness.
Sneak, put the buckets on them. Catch them. So catching them in buckets, but not thinking about how to get the lids off of the buckets without getting sprayed. So we would turn them loose. To this day, I do not know how we didn't get sprayed. Chris hated school. As a young boy, I would have to chase him down and carry him to the bus. We all would wait for the bus to pull up the lane. Then, when it would, he would run across the cornfield. But later, as a teenager, he began to like school a little better. But still didn't want to be there. He could go 3 days a week and still was able to get straight A's. He could not wait to get a job and make money. I always admired his ability to watch and learn. Him and I and Robin, our boss, and a gentleman by the name of that we called Paul. Paul was 70 years old at the time. We built a playground, a pirate ship, just from us four getting together and talking. Chris always had the ability to look at a project and bring it to life. I love that about him. Chris got married and had 3 kids. He loved them. Was a big softy when it came to them, and I would talk about parenting with him a lot. Chris loved to work. He loved spending time with his family. He was very soft-spoken. People would ask me often, Tony, does your brother Chris ever talk? I would reply, that's his nature. If Chris could help someone, he would. No matter if he knew them or not, he would help. We would talk about fireworks a lot. He loved fireworks. Chris would always do research on fireworks and keep me up to date. I believe he got that from our dad, which also loved fireworks. I have so many memories of my brother Chris that I wish I could put them all down on paper. So whoever hears this today could see through my memories how my brother Chris really was. Caring, gracious, loving, family man, and kind. He taught me a lot, and I hope I was able to do the same for him.
Okay, so as the statements continue there in Pike County, pretty much everyone's asking for life in prison.
Hey, bud.
My little one's poking his head in. MB says, I think the jury's going to vote right down the middle, just like they did with the trial. I think they've been influenced by people in the court, and they're trying to keep both sides happy. I don't know how they could not feel those tensions. Sorry, I'm trying to watch the Pike, or not Pike, but I'm trying to watch the Knoxville magistrate stream in the background just to see if something interesting happens there. I think we might take lunch. Maybe keep the stream open, but take lunch. Let me see if I can get a little screen saver sort of thing going. Let's see. Well, that's not working very well. Law and Crime has a talking head here. We're going to just pop in and listen for just a minute.
But before I take you to the court out in Ohio, I want to give you an update in the Aaron Dean case, where the sentencing phase was concluded, and we have been on the lookout for his official sentence for the past hour. Now, back to George Wagner IV here. He was found guilty on each of his 22 counts, including 8 counts of aggravated murder at the end of November. Wagner and his family are accused of killing 7 members of the Roden family, along with Hannah Gilley, over a child custody dispute. Now, his brother Jake and mother Angela both pleaded guilty, but George and his father Billy both pleaded not guilty. The trial for Billy is yet to come. That's expected in the new year. But for
okay, so fun. Nothing going on right now. Everyone's waiting. But everyone who said it was going to be less than an hour of deliberations, you were wrong. We are at an hour and 7 minutes for the Texas v. Dean trial. The jury's been deliberating on this sentence. Okay, nothing exciting happened out of Knoxville. It's a little quiet today.
What's up, bud? What's that? No.
Does he have a vest on? Yes, he does, and it's just it's like a suit vest, and that's sort of how he's been dressed pretty much throughout the trial. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. It looks like the judge is talking right now in the Wagner case. 1 second.
Shirt, I would tell him, pull your shirt up. He would, but then that belly would pop right back out. If it had a motor on it, he was on it. He loved riding motors.
Oh, no, it's not the judge.
One time my boss at work let him take.
I thought for some reason the judge was the one talking.
They were like small Jeeps for a test ride. My boss told him, do not go off the main road in the campground. Did he listen? Nope. Went trail riding and found the biggest mud hole he could and buried that reaper in it. Well, guess what? Guess who got the phone call? Uncle Tony, he says. What are you doing? I say, house chores. He says, drop that and come get me. I am stuck in a mud hole. So we talked a bit, so I leave to get him out of the mud hole. When I arrived, he and his friend Tyler had that reaper buried so bad you could barely see the seats. Took me a while to get it out. After that, I believe my boss had to sell it as a used one. Mud stains was not coming out. Little Chris gets his driver's license. Hitting me up for gas money. Gosh, anybody that has got their license for the first time knows that feeling. That feeling of freedom, hanging out with friends.
DMB, these are victim impact statements in the Wagner trial.
My mom's
George Wagner.
His life cut short by
8 murders, 2 families.
My cousin Gary.
Sort of like a Romeo and Juliet type story as far as families go. They,
as a kid,
they did not like each other,
and
it culminated in a,
As he got older, he liked pestering people. He knew
a murder spree.
If
Is
he
all I can
pestered
say.
you enough, he would get a laugh out of you. He would always help people. I would be working with him. We would stop at store to get something to drink. I'd say, Gary, go in and get us something to drink, and he would. But he also bought lottery tickets out of my money.
I hope this doesn't have an effect on the
Loved his
jury.
family.
Lindsay,
His life
let me
cut
take this.
short by
Says
selfish acts of others. My sister-in-law, Dana.
Says, wild fact about this case, since all the crime scenes took place in trailer homes, they actually hauled them each off on trailers to keep the scenes intact, as well as they could down the road. So they took the entire crime scene.
When she walked in a room with other people in it, she would always have people laughing. She loved people, and it showed.
All right, so as we wait for the Dean jury to come back, I think we're going to get some sort of notification, probably on Twitter. It's probably the first place we're going to see it. So if you're following Verdict Watch on Twitter, that might be the first place we hear. They do have some people on the grounds there that can keep us up to date. Let's see. Breaking: Amber Heard has announced on her Instagram that she settled her defamation case against ex-husband Johnny Depp. That was 12 minutes ago, according to Court TV. Debbie says, having cataract surgery, scared to death. Debbie, I hear those are very, very successful surgeries. It is nerve-wracking, but I believe it's one that they have great success with. So our thoughts go with you. Hope everything goes great for you. Can you believe she caved? Woohoo! Lindsay, I'm pretty sure they probably had the medical examiner pick up the bodies and then just haul the trailers off. Yeah, I think that's, or Lindsay, I think that's what you're saying. You're saying that that's what happened. I believe that's correct. Okay, we're almost an hour and 15 minutes into this. I think the jury's going to be having lunch here soon. So let's see. Here's what we can do. Subscribe to the channel and ring the bell, and we will go live again as soon as we get word out of Texas that the jury's come back with a verdict. That will enable everybody to go about and have your lunch, have a little bit of break, do what you need to do, and then come back here. We're gonna follow all the events as it happens. Does that work, or would you rather me just leave the live stream up while I go eat lunch? I can't live stream any court feeds, but I can keep my office up. Modern day Hatfields and McCoys, yeah. If you're familiar with the I guess West Virginia area, the Hatfields and McCoys were the families that feuded. Now there's a trail system called the Hatfield McCoy ATV trails. Let's see. Yes, on the lunch break, leave the ups, please. See y'all later today. If I leave it up, there's going to be no announcement because you won't see that it's coming back. If I turn it off, then you'll get notified. Okay. Leave the feed up. Okay, I'm going to leave it up for a little bit, but I have to get, and you guys want an announcement. What I can do is this. I believe I can do a community post. Do you guys see the community posts when I post those? If you turn on the ring, when you ring the bell, if you make sure it says all on the settings. Ooh, hang on. Before we go, something's happening in Pike. I'm not sure what happened here, but everybody just stood up. I think they're taking probably a lunch break. Okay, so just a lunch break there. Yeah, I think, set your notifications to all. I think we're going to stop and restart. I feel bad just leaving a feed up of just my office because, what happens if my kids come running in here and I don't want them to be on camera and not know it. Speaking of on camera, that's my car alarm that's going off right now. I may nap, not feeling the best. All right, please make the alarm sound when you come back. Okay, I'll be doing that. We're gonna take our 7th inning stretch, 6 volt, and we'll be right back. So let's play a little music. Let's wrap up here. When we come back, hopefully we'll have some information out of Texas versus Aaron Dean. As the jury should be, they're about a little over 1 hour, 15 minutes into deliberation on the sentence. So we expect that to be coming back here soon, probably right after lunch. Either way, we'll be back here. Thank you very much. We'll see you guys just in a moment.